Microphone, are you alive? Welcome, internet. God, I can't wait to get rid of this mic. How we doing, boys and girls? Good morning, good morning. How are we all doing this morning? Are we good? Matthew PTR, probably not on the PTR today. I've been slightly cautious about spending too much time on the PTR because everything is in super early mode. With the last couple of patches, I found that the first iteration of the PTRs are not super useful. I found I had to correct myself a lot more because I reported on stuff in the early stages on the PTR. And, you know, then things had changed and then I had to try and, you know, report on them again. It got messy. So I'm going to try and wait until things are a little bit more finalised on the PTR before we do any sort of solid content on it. The PTR this week was actually really underwhelming. There was all the big features that we want to look at, they just weren't there. So, like AoE cap hasn't been changed. The legendary scrapping system hasn't been changed. There's one question. There's only one question I've got about the legendary scrapping, and it's simple. Do we get a 100% refund on the Soul Ash and the Soul Cinders, or is there going to be a Blizzard tax on it? Which I imagine there probably will, but it's not implemented on the PTR yet. We had a look at a couple of things. We had a look at the heirlooms and stuff on Friday. I've kind of got that information banked, so I can put together a little bit of content about that. But we could only upgrade, I think, like 1 or 2 of the heirlooms, so it was also kind of not really complete. But today it is NA day. We are level 48. We hit 48 yesterday for those that were watching. We are now able to step foot in Shadowlands. Admittedly, we have to do the more intro quest. Bit of a shame that we have to do the more intro quest on this dude. But we wouldn't have the ability to skip it either way, as this is our first character on this first account. Like the assumption is I'm going to have many accounts on the NA. Probably will do. We'll see. We got some leveling to do today though. Tuesday is one of those limbo days for us, really. You play on the EU primarily, in terms of like it's the day before our reset. Not much is happening unless you need to be doing restocking on stuff for tomorrow's big day of sales. as far as most stuff is concerned, Tuesday for me is a relatively chill day to catch up on a few things. So we get to listen to Jaina's beautiful voice. Yeah, we get to listen to her run her mouth for forever and a day. Before we dive into this, though, I've got to tick off a couple of basic things. We should probably get our Facebook mission table out the way just real quick on our main account. I tried to do it once in the morning and then once in the evening. That means that I'm sort of hitting the mission table twice a day, because a lot of the missions, especially the big experience missions, are like 12-hour missions. So it takes a while for them to complete. But let's dive through these real quick first thing. Let people flow in. How's everybody doing? Is everybody having a good Tuesday? Is everybody nice and refreshed and relaxed? Is anybody still, pumping the gold numbers? I had some, on that note actually, I'm starting to see some people posting their results from 9.1. People are sort of now feeling that enough time has passed in 9.1 and things have stabilised enough. And it's incredible to see just how much success that some people have had off the legendaries this patch as well. Which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Danny, good morning to you. Welcome, welcome. For example, somebody posted in the Discord just yesterday that they've now managed to surpass 200 million liquid gold. 200 million gold made since Shadowlands. It's bonkers. Actually bonkers. And I am relatively safe in my assumption when I say that guy, firstly, is going to play NA. I don't think that that's physically possible in the EU. Outside of doing like boost, maybe if you were like doing nothing but boosting, you might be able to. But even with legendaries alone, I think making 200 million gold this expansion would be a tall order. Competition's just usually too stiff. There's too much competition in the EU to make those ridiculous numbers. It's the kind of thing I expect to see Hickons and Dirty Obi doing over on the NA realms, because the quantity of active gold makers is much less on the NA. Is what I'm starting to feel and starting to see. Right, let's get some. In fact, before we dive too deep, did we get any XP thingies? We did. Here's an XP thingy. Let's use this. All of them. Yeah, first level 50, look. First level 50. I don't know, I'm on NA and get undercut within a few minutes of actually posting. Competition's rough. While I don't doubt, there's generally less competition though. The biggest problem NA realms seem to have is with bots more than anything else. We don't get as many bots over on the EU realms. I mean, they do exist because bots are bots, they always will. But they tend not to exist so much. They do exist, but not as much on the EU realms. I see a lot of them on NA servers. And one of the biggest complaints I see from people who play on the NA realms is that they just can't compete against the bots. So, I mean, this is the thing, right? One of the reasons I wanted to go play over on the NA realms is because there's that grass is always greener on the other side thing. I've said for the longest time that it's much easier to make gold on NA than it is on EU. And until I go out and do it and prove it, it's all, it's all up in the air. It's just speculation until I go out and prove it. But I imagine the problems are still there. The problems are just different. But let's get the mission table smashed out real quick. Most of our dudes, actually, we're only a few days away from having all of these dudes hit level 50, which is quite cool. Let's get some of these bonus XP missions. If I can get these low dudes out on some bonus XP ones. Oh, and they win. All the better. Let's get these. I'm still somewhat focusing on anima missions if necessary, but on this dude I just don't care that much. I just fire and forget. Yep, they win. Cool. Let's assign that one. I've still not got all of my followers, actually. I'm slacking. Really slacking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just stack them up. And then, well, we could either do the anima missions, or we could pick up one of these 3,000 or 7,500 bonus XP. Go on then. You can solo that one. Off you go. Worth. Right, there's one dude. Let's get the next one on the go. Yeah, it'd be nice today if over on our NA, dude, we can get... Obviously, we've got the goddamn stupid more intro quest, so that's going to take a little bit of time. It's relatively speedy, especially on a hunter, because you just pew-pew. But I reckon we can probably get into Shadowlands, maybe get level... We'll get to 49 through the more intro quest. We should get 50, 51, 52 maybe today. Is the plan. Get ourselves into Shadowlands at the very least. We need to start... we're gonna... One of our biggest tasks, actually, for this first dude is just to unlock flying on the account. Because there's no point leveling any other characters until we've ticked the basic boxes. We need to get ourselves some of those quality of life things pretty quickly if we can. So, level to 60... do the campaign, fire through Korthia a little bit, maybe spend a bit of the gold that we get on some early item level 200 gear just to make the things a bit easier. There's a process. Right, can these do... Whoa, why are our soulbound dudes like middle of the pack level? That's not right. Okay, in that case then. Can you complete that one? Yes, off you go. Not many big missions for Venthia today.
You just lost $5.
Oh. Danny H. Wow.
Danny, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it. Thank you. I hope that we can do some comparing and contrasting between EU and NA on a more data-driven basis before too long. Do I want to go for the... Oh my days, I absolutely want to go for the anima missions. Holy smoke. I didn't realise that I would run quite so low on anima on this fella. I need to go do Korthia. Only sat on 60, oh, see, only 60 million. Just scrub numbers compared to 200. Yeah, there are some crazy things that are possible. Crazy things. 60 million's a fair whack of gold, though. I'm only about halfway there. I'm probably sat on about 30 million at the moment. I tend not to stockpile much actual liquid, though. I'm too good at spending it. That's my problem. More importantly, I'm too good at cashing it out for Blizzard balance and then spending it on other games. That's my big problem. Do we want to go for the big... No, we're somewhat low on anima. Now, being low on anima probably means I shouldn't be spamming missions like this, but what you gonna do? The anima's there to be spent, right? We've got one fella left. Can he solo this one? Please solo this one. No, of course not. Of course not. What about this one? There we go. Right, 2 down, 2 to go. I need to sort of try and build it into my routine to actually, at the very least, go and do Korthia and go and do the Shaping Fate on my ults. I'm seriously slacking on when it comes to actually playing the game at the moment. I'm spending way too much of my time with my just deep inside TSM. I would I've almost got the past expansion professions and past expansion materials groups finished though. I think I have all of the items in there for every profession now. I just need to reorganize it and make it look neat and tidy. Because the default way that I've done them, the groups don't really make a huge amount of sense. They need some tender loving care before they look neat and tidy. Just do a world boss, get the same amount of anima in half the time, if anima's what you're after. It's a combo of things though. On my ults I want to try and keep their, if possible, try and keep their renown up. Just passively over time as well. So Shaping Fate ticks a few boxes. You know, it gets me the anima, it gets me the renown. It's a bunch of things. The world boss I know gives renown as well, but it's, you know, there's what is it, like 3-4 easy renown you can get each and every week. I should really keep up with that, but I'm slacking. Polished pet charmer. What is this about? Earn 500 polished pet charms. All right. Any bonus XP ones? No. Oh yes, there's a bonus XP one. Let's give it to the I always tend to give the bonus XP ones to the soulbounds, but in theory you should probably bring your lowest dude up. But the more the soulbounds, because they have double powers, I usually prioritize their levels. Right, adventures. Anima Quest combining with the Shaping Fate and World Boss all kind of go together quite nicely. Yeah, they all, especially if you're doing the World Boss in the Maw, you get, is it still 25% progress for Shaping Fate by killing it as well? So even though it's a bit of a lag fest, but if I'm honest in regards to like my ults, I'm just keeping them ticking over right now. I spent like I spent so long getting all of my ults to tier 4 with the Archivist's Codex that it kind of burnt me out with Korthia. My desire to continue running Korthia on multiple characters is like literally zilch. I really cannot be doing with that. And I'm firmly of the opinion with this game that if you don't enjoy doing something and don't want to do it, don't do it. Because it's a game and it should be fun, regardless of whether I'm doing it for content or not. Right, we need... Oh no, there was the campaign. Oh, luckily I've already got the mount. And I'm 18 out of 20 anyway. I maybe should have tried to do that one. Oh well. Can these dudes solo this? Yes, you can. Beautiful. Right, you go off, do that. Right, that was a nice, quick and easy one. Only do the world bosses because they're quick and fast. Yeah, especially if you're doing it, if you run around and do them on Wednesday, you get instant groups and you get all of the like really geared characters, so the world bosses just melt. 25% for the assault, 25% for the world boss. You can get the other 50% just doing the daily quests in Korthia. Yes, I even ignore the assaults, to be honest. The assaults take me longer to do than it takes me to do, because they've actually bumped the Shaping Fate progress that you get by doing dailies in Korthia. If you've got 5 dailies to do, that's worth like 35, maybe 40% experience just by completing those and handing those in. And of course, when you're running around Korthia, you're killing rares and picking up treasures, so you can pretty quickly get Shaping Fate done. Do the world, go pick up the quest, go kill the world boss, then do 1 lap of dailies, and it's pretty much done. Meaning that I usually ignore the assaults completely. think I only did 1 day of Korthia dailies to finish Shaping Fate. Yeah, it doesn't really require you to do a huge amount. Right, we're not terribly low on anima, but we could definitely do with more. But bonus XP missions always get priority, especially if we can complete them like that. The assaults, this expansion of Warfronts, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah, very much. One of those things that people might do it if they need to, but they're certainly not excited about doing it. How are we doing, Woo? Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Let's go. Now we've got the choice to either spam some of these big XP ones or try and pick up a few bits of anima. You never know. Considering we're Night Fae, we might get the best of both worlds. No. Let's spam dudes on high XP. Oh, they don't win. Why do they not win? Oh, that's not expected. What about this one then? No, that was that one. Was it? No! Oh god, Night Fae, you're losers. Maybe... That'll do. That'll do. Now maybe we'll spam out the anima ones. Beautiful. Did it send? There we go. Beautiful. Bunch of bags and stuff to open, a bunch of anima to turn in again. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Right, that's all I actually wanted to do over on the EU accounts. We can actually just straight up exit the game now. Let's get back to N8. Let's get this dude leveled up. We should, if I remember right, we parked ourselves in Orgrimmar yesterday. Conveniently next to the auction house to post up some stuff. Let's see if any of it's sold. And let's get this dude into Shadowlands. I want to try... Hey, look, we even got the Shadowlands splash screen. Start quest now. Go. I think we're actually already on this quest, but sure. Thanks, game. Right. Did we sell anything? Oh, that'll do. Sold a bunch of pyrite ore. 133 pyrite ore. Bunch of silver leaf. Random things to sell. Corium. We sold 6 pieces of corium ore. I definitely don't think we farmed that. That must have been a flip. That'll do. Another 15,000 gold. How much did we buy for that? Buy that corium ore for? Revenue, resale. Let's just do it by, where's corium? Huh? Maybe we didn't. Maybe we did farm up the corium ore. Pyrite ore though, we bought... This is a good little flip. Look, we bought pyrite ore, 367 pyrite ore. We've now sold most of it. We've sold most of it back out for an average of 60 gold. 24 gold profit on every piece of pyrite ore there. Nice little successful flip there. We could do with some more of those. How's that made our graph look? Oh look, see we've now we hit about 40,000 gold, and I accidentally might have possibly deliberately spent most of it buying stuff to flip, and it's definitely starting to pay off now. Took a few days, but it's definitely starting to pay off. $60k liquid. Let's do a quick cancel scan of... In fact, we're not even going to do a cancel scan. We're just going to get rid of everything on the auction house and relist it. We'll maybe do a little search. We've got enough gold that we should probably look at investing some of it, because it might as well be put to some use. I want to be cautious that when we hit level 60, we're going to want to have enough gold to buy a complete set of item level 200 gear. That will mean we can head straight into Korthia, start chipping away at the reputation in Korthia, because we'll need it eventually. We might actually even be able to do a bit of leveling if we haven't got much rested experience, but we might be able to do a bit of leveling in Shadowlands via herbalism and mining as well. Making gold isn't get rich in one day, it's a journey for a lifetime. Yes, that's a good way of looking at it. The get rich quick schemes tend to it's funny, right? When there's an expansion launch, when there's a patch launch, when there's a big surge of new content, that's when the sort of the get rich schemes tend to kick in. But the funny thing is that those people that pay little attention and just wait for the video that says this is the get rich quick scheme, usually are the ones that end up getting caught out, because they buy into the bubble just before it pops. Whereas the people that, take a little bit of time out their day, maybe play the PTR for a little bit, maybe keep their eyes on what's changing and what's going to change in the future, they're the ones that really capitalise. Is the way that it tends to be. Right, let's do a little bit of shopping, see if we can spend some of this, see if we can find anything that's worth picking up. We'll do a quick shopping scan on cloth. Cloth tends to not be that attractive because the market value of most of the past expansion cloths, and equally the sale rate of it, is usually pretty trash. So we choose to ignore most of it. Yeah, there's nothing jumping out at me here that's worthwhile sticking our nose out for. Search elementals, sometimes you get some cheap elementals thrown up. Most of the time though, we have the same problem with these things, is that they just don't sell fast enough for us to be too interested in. Usually you'll find that there's a big dump of them in one go as somebody goes out and farms a bunch of them because they've watched a recent YouTube video. Volatile earth, crystallized earth, not so interested in those even though they're cheap at the moment, mainly because they can come from mining. And there's a big wall of them here. Volatile earth, you're maybe only going to sell 25, 50 a day. To buy up 2,500 of them is just way too much stock. We could arguably pick off these cheap ones just for a sneaky little flip, maybe. We'll buy those, just, turn 120 gold into 250 gold, because it all counts eventually. Crystallized earth. See, something is iffy, right? When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 4,500 crystallized earth turns up on the auction house, you kind of got to believe that there's something dodgy going on here. Now I know there's a few people, there's only 3 people listing those, so the likelihood is that there's one person that's posted like 4,000 of them. Screams dodgy. Screams dodgy. Now, in theory, I could buy some of them and turn them into... what's the crystallized? What does crystallized turn into? Crystallized turns into eternal. Eternal earth. We've already got a bunch of eternal earth for sale already. And we know for a fact that eternals can... They can be bought from a vendor for 60 gold. And Eternal Earth is obviously way oversupplied at the moment, so yeah, not interested in that. Motes of Harmony, 20 gold, that still makes Spirit of Harmony 200, that's way too expensive. Yeah, not a lot there. Enchanting Mats, let's have a little look at Enchanting Mats. Arcane Dust looks relatively cheap. It's not used in a lot of stuff though. Still sells a little bit every day. Gloom Dust is pretty cheap. Scan finish. There we go. Strange dust. Oh, see, once again, out of nowhere. Well, like, where do these turn up from? Well, like, who randomly has 2,000 strange dust just kicking about? Seems very strange. This is kind of what I don't understand of it. Like, why has one person by the name of Cloud got 28,000 strange dust? How's that even possible? Like, how much time must you spend disenchanting stuff to get 28,000 strange dust? That seems very odd. More importantly, like, why would you... I don't know, sure. Maybe this dude just quite simply just buys everything under a certain value. And, you know... Have you seen Samadan's bank? He probably has amounts of that old stuff sitting there. I'm sure there are others like him. I've not seen Samadan's bank, no. But I understand people have lots of past expansion materials, but these are just crazy numbers. Way too much of that for me to really care about. Gloom Dust, on the other hand, we might take a little look at Gloom Dust. Oh, once again, what is this Cloud fella? This Cloud fella's an interesting character. This dude seems to be a bit of a hoarder of enchanting materials. Holy smoke. Could just snipe at it. Costs like 1 silver to store it on the auction house / mail for 60 days. True. True. Yeah, this Cloud fellow, I need to keep my eyes on him. See how many markets this dude's in, because he's already standing out as a bit of an enchanting material hog. He runs disenchant scans. He runs a few disenchant scans. Do we want to pick up... Oh, no, look what's happened. This dude has managed to somehow make the value of Gloom Dust 20 gold apiece on this realm. Or has at least attempted to manipulate the market into thinking it should be 20 gold apiece. When in reality, like 2 gold apiece, maybe. I'm in danger that if we buy out... You see, that's still not cheap enough for us to care about. What's the chances that Mr. Cloud also has a whole bunch of rich illusion dust? Hey, of course he does. Of course he does. Sure. Well, he's doing. In fairness to him, he's doing a good job of inflating the price of these old materials. The problem is that like he's got enough rich illusion dust to last the entire server about 6 years. So. I don't know what he plans to do with it all. Hypnotic Dust, though, here's an opportunity. Hypnotic Dust is... There's a flip here. There's not a lot of it. 24 gold apiece is actually less than what it sells for on average, but simply by the fact that there's not a lot of it, we might have a stab here. We can turn 2k into more than 2k there. Arcane Dust, no, that's too expensive once again. Although Cloud isn't in this market, he's missing a trick on his Arcane Dust. His Cloud only seems to be dealing in low level stuff. We'd have to buy everything to really get much return on that. Light Illusion Dust, oh, of course, he's back here again. He's got some interesting way of listing his auctions as well. Like, he walls off at certain price points, and he seems to have. He does have a bit much. Yeah, this dude definitely has a little bit too much. I don't quite know how he's achieved that, but he has some interesting usage of TSM using multiple auctioning operations to post at different price points based on his inventory level. Because there's no other logical... Like, a regular Joe would just dump it all on the auction house at, you know, one price. To stagger the price like this is It's quite a smart thing to do. In theory, it prevents you from overstocking on materials. It's obviously not worked too well in his situation, but we don't know how he's getting all this large amounts of dust in the first place. Anyway, not much else going on dust. I'm not going to bother searching food because it's food or gems. Herbs we'll take a look at though. Any cheap herbs? We seem to do quite well flipping the herbs. Some Mage Royal, looking quite cheap, as long as there's not too much of it. The fact that our name doesn't appear too often in this list is giving me a good indication that we've probably sold through a lot of the stuff that we gathered ourselves. Enchanting mats are perfect for flipping, to be honest. No deposit fees, so you can keep them for years with virtually no cost. That's true. I mean, that used to be the case for a lot of stuff, but they've bumped up the listing fees for a lot of materials. There's not a lot of any of this. Let's hoover this up then. Let's hoover that up. Yoink. Sea Stalk. Way too many. Oh look, Cloud again. Cloud is here again. Selling herbs. Or arguably flipping herbs. 15,000 Sea Stalk though. We could turn 2 gold into... We could turn 2 gold 50 into 4 gold 50. Pretty reliably. Dreamleaf. Why is Dreamleaf so expensive at the moment? Why is Dreamleaf so expensive? Why does it maintain at such a high price? What's Dreamleaf going into that is interesting people? Are people milling it? Milling it for the pigments? They must be. It's got a mill value of 16 gold apiece. People still milling it for roseate? Yeah. Apparently so. Apparently so. We've bought a bunch of it though, but we've not had much success in selling it, so I'm not overly intrigued in buying any more until we've at least sold through what we've got. But that's one to keep our eyes on. Peace Bloom at 7 gold a piece. That seems ridiculously expensive. Although we seem to be able to comfortably sell Peace Bloom at like an average of 9 gold. Sure, I mean, if we flip round 7 to 13, there's no reason to not, right? Whiptail. We know why people are buying Whiptail. People are buying Whiptail to make the... or to eventually turn into Vial of Sands. Do we wish to buy enough out though? It's a reasonably good price. It's not super cheap, and it would require us to actually buy quite a lot of it, which gets risky because we'd have to buy all of this. How much would we have to buy? See, based on sale rate, we probably don't want to buy much at all. But we would need to buy that much. We'd need to spend 16,000 gold. And 8 gold 30 for a past expansion herb, even though it's Whiptail that we know is kind of useful to people, is still a bit iffy. Bit iffy. Legion inscription stuff sells for a ton. Yeah, you got Legion was there's a lot of there's also a lot of hype around Legion inscription, or some hype about Legion inscription because of the glyphs and whatever. Glad they finally implemented the anima cap to 200k now. I don't think I'm in any danger of getting anywhere near 200k anytime soon, but I'm sure there's some people out there that are making good use of that. I was never even remotely close to hitting the original cap, never mind the 200k cap. Yeah, she's chilling in a bed.
she used.
It's because she's a ninja.
It's unbelievable. It's not like I can turn off and go, excuse me. Dog is.
My dog is rearranging the decor. Yeah. Yeah, we have a dog that has a tendency to jump about and roll around on the bed, and literally kick all the bedding completely off. Bit of a pain in the ass, but you know what you can do. Light leather. Do we have any use for omega cheap light leather? I'm sure we can do something with it. Why does it sell so frequently? Why is there 140 light leather sold a day? What in the world is that going towards? It's got a 12% sell rate and 140 of it sells a day. Well, it's got to be something to do with alt transmog. I'm inclined to buy out most, if not all of that, just to... Maybe I don't want to buy the 3 gold stuff. I'll buy the cheap stuff though. Buy the real cheap stuff, sell it back out. It's an interesting one. Thick leather? There's like one dude posting thick leather. Really? Is that it? Well, it'd be rude not to, right? Do I feel like that's a bait? It's just too expensive. I don't want it. I don't want it. No more leathers. Let's go ore and bar. We can usually find some ore to flip. Nearly 50,000 anima. Holy smoke. Spending too much time in Gorthia. Get out of there. It's bad for your health. What we got here then? Some cheap elementium ore. Sub 5 gold ghost iron ore. 2 gold fell slate. We might be interested. Oh boy, there's a big wall of fell slate. Big wall of fell slate. 5,000 gold wall of fell slate. I mean, we can do bits with that though, right? There's also a big wall of it again at 6 gold a piece. But I find it very hard to believe we can't do something with that. Regional average price is 23 gold a piece. Regional sale average is 10 gold a piece. Only about 70 to 80 get sold a day. Which is a good indication that I probably don't want to buy 5,000 of it. But there's no reason I can't pick up a couple of stacks of it super cheap and wait to sell that. Because fell slate technically is the rare version. Now I don't particularly want to dump 10k into fell slate. Because it doesn't actually get me a reset unless I also buy out everything here. I'm going to buy some of this. I'm going to buy a few stacks of this. What is my theoretical return on that? If I spend 2k, I'll probably sell it all for 10k. Do I want to just throw a little bit more at it? I don't think I want to spend 10k on fell slate though. Oh no, I clicked the rescan button. Derp. I didn't mean to do that. Hang on, please hold. Oops. Oops. Oh, watch. Somebody's going to have bought it now. You snooze, you lose. Somebody with deeper pockets is going to swoop in. Oh no, it's still there, look. Oh, but somebody else bought some of it, though. Somebody did buy some of it. It's 10 stacks of fell slate. 10 stacks of fell slate for 4,000 gold. That seems remarkably cheap. We'll go with that. Right, Ghost Iron Ore. Ghost Iron Ore at 5 gold a piece. This has obviously been reset, and somebody's come in and gone, no, I'll have none of that. Somebody's farming Ghost Iron Ore for 5 gold a piece. Now, 5 gold a piece for Ghost Iron Ore is pretty good price. The difficulty becomes that I don't have 71,000 gold to spend on buying Ghost Iron Ore. But I know at 5 gold a piece, don't do auction house PvP before the coffee kicks in. Yeah, it's true. I know that Ghost Iron Ore at 5 gold a piece. See, this is the kind of price point that I would like to be selling it back out to people at when I flip it. Because I know people, regardless of what the market price does, people have like a number in their head for when they buy their Ghost Iron Ore. And it's around the 5 gold. So this, I might see and just wait to see if this dude gets... see, it's annoying because if under normal circumstances, I'd just buy that regardless. But with only 50k to my name, it becomes more of a risk than I'm comfortably able to take. Right? Why is there no Elementium ore? I mean, there's so little Elementium ore, I want to go out and farm the stuff. Platinum ore. Obsidian ore. Yeah, these are all starting to get too expensive now. Check Motes of Harmony. Motes of Harmony were like 20 gold a piece. We've got Laystone. See, there's a huge amount of Laystone kicking about as well. Is it by the same dude? Is somebody just botting / mining it like an absolute madman? Where's Fell Slate gone? Now it's fallen off my list. Probably because I bought some. Alright, I think that's about as much as we can splash out. Not too many opportunities for flipping stuff today on the low level mats, but a little bit of summon. We can get that relisted. We've still got a bunch of stuff that we're still trying to sell anyway. Did I cancel? I must not have cancelled all of the auctions. Hang on. What was Monolite priced at? Monolite. 26 gold a piece. That's probably why. Buy my stuffs and trade me golds. Were also selling the other materials as well. Alright, let's cancel. Oh, hang on. Oh no, 24 hours. We've done a relist already. Okay, cool. Right, go. Oh, why is it saying group is invalid for all of these? Because my settings are a bit funky. Alright, sure. I have a slight problem with my auctioning operation. Problem being that frequently my normal price ends up being less than my minimum price, and such it has a heart attack and dies. Usually because my smart average buy price is affecting the minimum price too aggressively. Which means I need to adjust this to be first 150% smart average buy price it's my average buy, isn't it? That should fix... No, I don't want that being first. I want it to be max. Yeah, that should fix my problem. It doesn't fix the problem, but it just relocates the problem. That should be fine. Spider Silk is still bust. Why is Spider Silk still bust? Minimum price is lower than... Your maximum price is lower than your minimum price. That shouldn't happen. It's because I bought these Spider Silk at stupid money. My minimum price is lower than my maximum price. Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, it's because I done goofed and bought these at a price that I really shouldn't have done. And there's no real easy way around fixing that other than just to manually post them and give them away. Alright, fine. Right, that aside though, we'll fix that later. Let's go and finally, is there actually, thinking about it, we're level 48. In 2 levels time we'll be level 50. At level 50 we'll be able to equip item level 87 gear. The question is do we buy ourselves a set of 87 gear to give us a bit of a head start? I would say that it's probably quite sensible to do that, because it just will smooth out. Let's check the price actually real quick. Check, because we don't have access to heirlooms, because we don't have access to, like, you know, any of the good stuff. Maybe we should let's go armor, mail, search, item level. What is the price of the item level 87 gear? $93? What's item level 93? Oh, the BOEs, the world drop stuff is item level 93. I'm not paying 2k a piece. Somebody is capitalizing on the item level 93 gear. The fact that every single one is posted for 2,000 gold a piece gives me an indication that somebody just buys all of it religiously to maintain the price. Where's 87 gear? Here we go. Hey, see, 87 gear is not too expensive. It's not too bad at all, is it? Not too bad at all. We could pick ourselves up a set of this without too much cost. Although some of the pieces are being cheekily priced. Somebody wants gold cap for that, do they? Sure. So, if we actually want to buy... Okay, we're not going to be able to get our hands on a full set. I think at this point in time, wasting money on a full set of 87 gear is probably not worth. As what we're looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4... I suppose it's only 5k, isn't it? We'll make that back pretty quickly. Maybe we'll pick up a set of this then. So let's start at the top. We need a helm. We could do with some shoulders. Oh, we can filter level range. Okay. Shoulders. Cloak. That'll actually be in miscellaneous, won't it? Yeah. Shrouded cloth cape. Oh, that's expensive. Shadow lace cloak is even more expensive. Maybe we go for the... Oh, that requires level 56. Oh, that can suck a fat one. Alright, sure. Whatever. Cost of doing business, right? Let's go neck as well. 650 gold for the neck. Is there anything cheaper? I don't care what the stats are on it. I just want the cheap one. Alright, 650 gold a piece for the neck. Sure. Let's now go chest. Mail. Search. 87. Chest piece. Vest. There we go. 1,000 gold. Bracers. Arm guards. 430 gold for the arm guards. What are the desolate leather ones? Or desolate scale? There isn't desolate scale ones. Alright, sure. Gap in the market. Let's grab a set of those. What do we need now? Gloves or gauntlets or whatever they're called. 87 greaves. 200 gold a piece. They're the cheap ones. Rings and necks is item level 100. Ah, whatever. Oops. See if I make the mistake other people do as well. Waist. If I filter to 50, it will show the best possible ones, won't it? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, there's a few boo-boos I've already made. Whatever. Waist. Shadow scale waist guard, one of those. Legs. Oh, we've just bought... Hang on. Hang on. Oh, God. Now I've lost track of what I bought. Alright, whatever. Boots. Treads. Desolate scale treads. There we go. Let's not mess up and buy those. Right, rings. Miscellaneous. Ring. Finger. Search. What, really? You get an item level 130 band at level 50? That's crazy. 115, 130? Hot damn. I mean, I'm not going to buy those, but sure. Right, well, we'll have one masterful lace stripe band at cheap prices. We'll take one quick band at cheap prices. And the likelihood of getting our hands on a trinket is probably non-existent, right? Yeah, it's all past expansion stuff on the trinkets. Weapon? Do we have a hope in hell of getting a weapon? We could pick up a precision life force inverter, which will be item level 100 for 80 gold a piece. For 80 gold, I don't think I can complain about that one, really, can I? Yoink. There we go. So, there's a set of gear for when we hit level 50. We just got to get to level 50. Did I overspend? Probably. Did I buy the wrong items? Probably. But it didn't cost us a huge amount and will give us a nice little power spike once we hit 50. Totally unnecessary, but considering we don't have, you know, we don't have heirlooms, we don't have any of the fun stuff to play with. We gotta buy ourselves our advantages. Right, come on, Mr. Speedy now. You watch, by the time we hit level 50, we'll like replace all of this in about 3 minutes flat, but I've made somebody happy. I've made somebody some profit somewhere. It's all about sharing the wealth. Alright, this now is probably the 15th time I've done this. Give me the thing. I wonder at what point you're going to be able to take the skip in 915. Hopefully you can skip this bit. Because this bit alone really annoys me. Maybe you'll have, I don't know what point the skip will kick in, but having to drag these stupid shards of domination about. The skip comes in Orgrimmar, let's hope so. Come on, Bolvar. Quickly now. There we go. Right. Place gives me PTSD. I know. This slow ass walking RP bit is like, oh, come on. Look, even Gruffhorn is like, come on now, this is slow. He's like walking at a snail's pace. And connected. Last one. Right, where has it gone? There it is. Fourth shard placed. Oh, there we go. That might be the last time we ever do that, you know. Because by the time that we come to need to do this again on NA, we should have the skip. Hopefully. That, in theory, might be the last time I ever do that. What about Kazakh or Twisting Nether? Well, hopefully by the time I come to do those, there'll be the skip, so it'll be fine. I'll just skip it. Obviously on NA, you can't skip things until you've done it once, so I have to do everything once. We've before we even get onto Twisting Nether or Kazakh though, we've got Draenor to conquer. Draenor's in our crosshairs first. Do these dudes auto? No, they don't. We need to click on them. Welcome to hell. Close enough. How we doing? Welcome, welcome. That hydrate's not a bad idea, you know. I've run out of coffee. Manthias doesn't do so good without coffee. What's going on here? How have I pulled this? How have I managed to pull this dude? Right, I need to rally some people. Rally you. There's a dude hiding around here. You can be rallied as well. Everybody's happy. Oh my god, my mount ignores my call in the moor. It's so bad. It's so bad. Being a noob at this game is painful. Why did I ever sign up for this? Oh, damn. He slaps. Don't know why I pulled these dudes. I really shouldn't have done. Please don't pull those as well. Gruffhorn, come back. Oh no, no, he's pulled everything. God damn stupid goat. Mind of his own. We'll just escape, it's fine. Oh, alright, kill him. There we go. Got to be careful to not die, actually. I kind of, even though I'm very, very comfortable playing a hunter, I do kind of forget that, you know, I'm not geared to the teeth, and I don't have heirlooms. I don't have that health regeneration that heirlooms give you. I don't have any of the luxuries. While I kind of get it, right, that there's catch-up mechanics and stuff gets easier the more that you've played the game, I kind of, in a way, I kind of feel bad for new players to this game. The new player experience is not good. I mean, because it goes against what most people would naturally do nowadays. 10 years ago, the new player experience would probably have been quite reasonable 10 years ago, but by today's standards, this is terrible. Because most people, when they first pick up a game, it's more than acceptable now that if you think something is going too slowly, or you get stuck, or whatever the case may be, you just look up a guide. That's just kind of how stuff is done now. And in no way, shape or form would looking up a guide on how to level fast in World of Warcraft and being presented with things that you can't do as a new player to the game, that's a terrible experience. Blizzard's decision to like lock you off into like a totally separate section of the game until you've, arguably by most people's opinion, completed the game. If you play an RPG, if you put yourself in the mindset of somebody brand new to World of Warcraft, you actually consider leveling to 60 a massive part of the game, because in any other RPG ever, the leveling process is a huge part of the game. Sure, you have end game content, but the leveling is still meant to mean something and still be engaging. I've been playing Path of Exile again recently, and the experience of doing the first 10 acts in Path of Exile is you know, the lion's share of the experience. The fact that they've just hemorrhaged all elements of, arguably, I don't know, I don't know how to articulate it properly, but trying to put myself in the mindset of a new player to this game, if I was to get pushed into doing BFA and I would see all these people flying around, like, my first instinct would be, well, maybe I'll look up a leveling guide because this feels quite slow, or maybe I'll see how I get to fly. I don't know. I just don't think they do a good job of creating a positive new player experience. Maybe it's because, you know, it preys on the lack of knowledge of new players. Like, you don't worry, it's what's the word? Ignorance is bliss, right? I guess if you don't know you can fly, then you're not concerned about not being able to fly. But when you see everybody else flying, it is a safe assumption for somebody to question, well, how do I fly? Everybody else is flying in these zones at their level. Why can't I do that? Oh, I can do that, I just have to complete the game first? Yeah, dunno. Don't feel very good. Oh, all of these other zones in the world are available, but I have to level in this one zone that's BFA. Why have I just bought Shadowlands, and why am I being forced to level in the last expansion? I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting already. I'm still of the opinion that when you first level from 1 through till max level, you should be doing it in vanilla, because, you know, they were the first levels in the game. That was the experience. You shouldn't be forced to level through an expansion. I kind of know why Blizzard have done it, because BFA was arguably the most polished leveling experience. But it feels odd, right? I've just bought Shadowlands, yet I'm being told the Battle for Azeroth storyline. Wasn't that the last expansion? I thought I've just bought Shadowlands. I don't know. To me at least, it feels like they've sucked out so much of the leveling experience that they almost should just get rid of it completely. If you buy Shadowlands, you should just start at level 50. Like, I know if you buy the upgraded version, you get a boost, like, with the game, but so you arguably can, but that they've cashed cowed in on that. That's why there's a level boost in every new expansion, but you don't get it by default. You have to pay extra to get that. It's an upsell. And when you're brand new to a game, the likelihood of you buying the upsell first time is slim, because you don't know if you enjoy the game yet. Why would you buy the upsell to the game when you don't know if you enjoy the game to begin with? People need to do some playing to learn their class if they're brand new to the game. Yeah, but I don't think the leveling experience really teaches you that. Because it's nearly impossible to fail. Now, I know I chose to do this with a hunter, which is kind of an unfair comparison. But the leveling experience is there's no challenge in it. It's not like there's elite quests anymore. There's not like there's not like group quests that you need to do like there used to be. Back in the day, you'd have like green quality quests, orange quality quests, and then red quality quests. If you had a red quest, you knew that shit was going to slap you. This kind of everything always balancing to your level thing just nullifies any of the challenge, I think. And without challenge, it sometimes is not so much fun, if you get me. You can do world quests on any class without knowing it. Yeah, oops, I did a world quest, yeah. I don't know which game out there that lets you dive headfirst into the current stuff. My thing is that they either need to go one way or the other. They kind of sit in limbo with the leveling, in terms of that you either they should either just fully lean into the fact that, let's be honest, endgame is the only content that Blizzard puts any time or effort into, and the entire expansion is built around you playing the endgame content. And if you're not playing the endgame content, it's just a grind to achievably get to the endgame content. If that's the case, just get rid of this leveling shit completely, because it is quite clearly, especially because none of it matters by the time you get to max level. Actually, none of your leveling matters in any way, shape or form. You've been railroaded into one position, and by the time you ding level 60, your entire game gets flipped on its head instantly, and nothing that you've done up until that point has any relevance at all. Especially with this patch system that we have now, where you ding max level, and then within 5 minutes you've replaced every single piece of gear that you picked up through leveling. It just feels like they're deliberately wasting the first 10 hours of a brand new player's experience of the game. Whereas if they had some system to progressively teach you the ropes within the Shadowlands expansion, I think they almost got it right with Threads of Fate. You know, Threads of Fate is almost there, but I think instead of Threads of Fate being active at level 50, they should just take it straight to level 1. You should be able to do Threads of Fate from level 1 in Shadowlands, because that is the content. That's the content that you need to know. Make the leveling, if you are insistent on doing the leveling, like stupidly quick. Or, I don't know, they need to go one way or the other. Either make leveling mean something, or make it mean nothing. It already means nothing, but you're kind of forced into doing it all the same. I think you're kind of jaded. If you never played the game before, I think I'd still enjoy the leveling journey. I'd probably blast through it in one session. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can't deny that it's hard to forget what you know. And I guess there's an element of the fact that because I know the way the game works inside and out, that I know that this entire leveling system is just a waste of time. But maybe, obviously, if you aren't aware, that the ignorance is bliss situation again, right? Like if you're not aware that none of this actually matters, that the game doesn't really become the full game until you hit level 60. And I guess in a way it's been like that for many expansions. It's just the fact that, you know, you can buy a level 50 character now, so you can skip that if you wish to. You can, you know, you can act with your credit card. Yeah, I don't know. They tried this with BFA. It kind of comes with its own problems. It does, but they seem to have managed to get it to work quite well. The fact that I've been forced into leveling through BFA. You finish Exile's Reach, you're level 10, you hit BFA, and you can get to pre-current expansion level in just the one expansion. So they can make it work. But my point being is that you buy Shadowlands, and then your first 10 hours of the experience of the game is actually forcibly being... because you don't have a choice in the matter. It's not like you can go and level in another expansion, or even in the vanilla zones, or Shadowlands even. You have to spend 10, 15, probably 20 plus hours if it's your first character leveling in the past expansion before you can play the game that you've actually bought. To be fair, new players don't buy Shadowlands first. They get a sub until they're level 50, then they buy Shadowlands. Do you think? Do we think that's the general way that people are introduced to this game when they're brand new? That they just... because you can only you can play for free up until level 20 now, can't you? So you can probably do Exile's Reach and all that sort of stuff without even a subscription at all. Maybe I just see it from the wrong point of view. What are we going to see in the next expansion? Level 1 to 60 in Shadowlands, and then 60 to 70 in the new expansion. Not sure that'll make sense. Yeah, that's a good point. That will they then just because can you imagine if they still make you go through BFA? Yeah, I don't know how they'll do it. Who would up front pay 3 times the cost if you're trying a new game? Well, that only leans heavily into my my thought process of that nobody's going to get the boost straight away because the boost is an upsell. You only get the boost if you buy the middle tier of Shadowlands. I can't remember what they call them. The base game, the heroic game, and what, like the epic or the elite or something. I don't know what they call them now. With just a single subscription, you can play to 50. Exile's Reach, though, I'll give Exile's Reach a lot of credit. Exile's Reach is very good. Exile's Reach is very good. You're right, it feels a bit janky to an experienced player of the game, but from a new player experience, I think Exile's Reach is very good. It gives you a feel for what's going on, introduces you to your class, and before it obviously then throws you into BFA. Yeah, I'm of a similar opinion. I think Exile's Reach is one of the best, and this obviously goes to show, right, that Blizzard are critically aware of how new players experience the game, right? The fact that once again, you have no choice but to go through Exile's Reach, which is Blizzard's way of like fostering the right or what Blizzard consider to be the right style of gameplay, and introduce you to quests and introduce you to your abilities and the UI. And I think Exile's Reach is very good, but they kind of they kind of guide you to level 10, and instead of it then being, they either need to do one of two things. Either it then needs to be, right, you're level 10 now be free. You know, you're off to the races, be free. Or I think out of Exile's Reach you should land straight in Shadowlands. If Exile's Reach is the tutorial mode to teach you the game and it's mandatory to do it first, I think if you've bought Shadowlands you should go straight into Shadowlands. Now, I'm not sure how the story plays out in that scenario, but as we as we talked about at length yesterday, the lore is not an excuse for not doing things in the game, because they also make the lore, so they can rewrite the story if they need to. How would that work? Level 10 to 60 in Shadowlands? Yeah, why not? And we go 10 to 50. We go 10 to 50 in BFA. And you only actually complete like 1 and a bit zones. There's plenty enough quests. There's plenty enough content. And the likelihood is that that might end up being the way that the next expansion works. That you fall out of Exile's Reach and you land straight in the Shadowlands. You level to 50 in you level to 60, sorry, in Shadowlands, and then you do 60 to 65 or 60 to 70 or whatever it ends up being in the new expansion. So the likelihood is it's gonna happen anyway. It's hard to know how much you learn about the game whilst leveling, since you can't forget what you already know. But story-wise, I agree. It's strange to level up in the old content. Yeah, yeah. If you like, it's like if you bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you actually end up your first 20 hours of the game, you have to play Call of Duty World at War. You're like, well, hang on. This isn't the game I just paid for. Like, why am I not playing this Shadowlands game? I don't know. I think they just need to make my overall point on this is I think they just need to make a decision. They either need to lean into leveling and make it an actual experience that matters and is worthwhile. And I think they're getting there. I think Threads of Fate is relatively close to that in terms of them being able to implement a system of which you can, your leveling kind of means something by the time you get to the end game. Now, obviously, at the moment, Threads of Fate is restricted to, you know, the Shadowlands leveling section. But if they were to expand that out, and as much as I hate to say it, they could do it in, they could restrict you to zones, but it's still the sort of Threads of Fate in terms of the fact that you can play all of the story quests if you want. You can do all the side quests if you want. You've got your bonus objectives, you've got your treasures, you can pick up your professions and do gathering and all the sorts of good stuff if you wish. But maybe you have to do 10 through till 30 in Bastion, then you move, you know, pace it so that you kind of have to go through all of the Shadowlands content. But then by the time you ding level 60, you're into endgame content, and everything you've done up until that point still matters, right? You've been gaining reputation with the current factions. You've been collecting materials that are valuable to the endgame players. Everything matters. Like now, Exile's Reach, cool, love Exile's Reach. You then get thrown into BFA to level to 50, and by the time you ding level 50, absolutely none of that matters. And you then go into Shadowlands, and it's only 20 hours maybe after you start playing the game that you actually get to play the game that you originally planned on playing. Yeah, they either need to go one way or the other. Like either lean into leveling and make it a thing that has some sort of weight to it, or just get rid of it completely. Just go, right, Exile's Reach, bang, straight into maybe Exile's Reach. I don't know what they'd do with the whole level situation then, but like straight from Exile's Reach, there's the tutorial mode. Now here's your end game, here's your character. Just get rid of levels. I guess the easiest way then is just get rid of the character level system completely. Get rid of the XP grind, get rid of that completely. It takes away the RPG element pretty heavily, but let's be honest, this game hasn't been an RPG for a long time. The RPG element is the end game progression, of which isn't linked to an XP bar. So we're used to a progressive RPG based game without any level gaining or experience, so it wouldn't be too much of a jaded shock to the player base. I'd like them to push people through each previous expansion, 10 to 20 vanilla, 20 to 25 Outland, etc. Have a streamlined, story-focused quest line in each expansion. They would need to... I mean, they kind of tried to do that in the past, right? That was the original leveling system for a long, long time. You'd go from one expansion to another. The problem is they were trying to tell the exact same story that once took 10 hours to complete in about 2 hours, and they couldn't compress the story down to make it feel like normal. So you would end up, you'd get 10% into the storyline of an expansion, and you'd have out-leveled that zone, and you'd be moving on to the next one. And so it all felt wrong all the time. They would need to do like a super straightforward. Each expansion would be more like a quest hub kind of thing, where they'd unravel the next stage to use Diablo or Path of Exile as examples, where you have like different acts that you go through. They're very quick, very short, very much to the point, and pace it correctly. But at the same time, I think that's something that really only matters, I think, to veteran players. I don't think new players of the game would really actually appreciate that too much. Because new players to the game, they didn't play Cataclysm, they didn't play TBC, they didn't play Wrath, they didn't play WoD. They're new to the game now. It's a nostalgia kick to veterans that probably played it originally and would like to sort of see a short form version of it, maybe. I think they're at the point where they should just get rid of leveling. Just get rid of the levels completely. You can have a fully fledged out, fully engaging RPG experience without grinding levels. Because that's really the thing that's holding it back, right? The fact that you have to grind out 10 levels or 60 levels or what used to be 120 levels. Arguably it's meaningless though, because by the time you've completed that level grind, the game resets. So just, you know, what's the point of the level grind? Final Fantasy does this well. They remove certain quests to make sure that players don't spend too much time on all of their other expansions whilst getting to max level. Yeah, some sort of streamlined approach. I think at this point in time, with enough, considering we're like, what's this, like the 9th expansion or something, Shadowlands is? There's too many of them now to just kind of like snip bits out. They would have to just redesign the one to... They'd have to fully redesign the 1 to max level experience. But they put themselves in this problem then of that they'd have to arguably redo that. Either the leveling experience would just get longer and longer again, rather than shorter and shorter, like it's kind of been up until this point, because every expansion they just have to add another chunk onto the end of that. Yeah, there's problems from a development point of view there as well. I'm sure Blizzard think about these things. It's arguably one of the problems that they come against a lot, and they're one of the only game developers out there that have probably seen these problems, because I'm sure there is a significant amount of problems that come from having a game that has 15 years worth of content in it. And it's what of that content do you keep in the game and what do you cut out of the game every time you change the game, which is currently every 2 years. And we've had things like level squishes, and we've had things like, you know, with the level squish comes item level squish, and they've squished things enough now. I think the problem is when you after a couple of squishes, maybe it's just time to reinvent the way that an RPG MMO is done, maybe gaining levels and grinding levels was a, was a staple of MMOs 10 years ago that maybe isn't necessarily needed anymore. Exile's reach into Shadowlands campaign sounds reasonable to me. They did quite a lot of hand-holding in BFA and probably didn't want to repeat that. Maybe, yeah. Thoroughly disagree. Without that sense of progression, I'd feel as if it was just handed to me, would destroy the game for me. But that's kind of, it would be no different to how the end game is now, though. Because we don't have, I mean, they still generate a sense of progression with the end game content now. You know, you level up, you gear, it's more about gearing up rather than leveling up. I think if the levels weren't a thing at all, if they just completely removed levels, you just have a character and you start gearing up that character and you gear it up in the same fashion and methods as before. I mean, it's already bad enough that we have an item level, which is ultimately what most people end up chasing. By the time we hit max level, our actual level, is surplus to requirements. Why did I spend 20 hours of the game grinding a level, so by the time I've maxed this out, all I care about is then this? Why not just, you know, skip the middleman and go straight to item level grinding? I'm not sure. I kind of see people's viewpoints though. I mean, that's one thing you definitely don't want to feel though. You don't want to feel like it was handed to you, but you need that sense of progression. I just think the first 60 levels is progression that if it meant something by the time I'd done it, it would feel more valuable. But the fact that you can buy 5/6 of it off the store also, you know, proves a point that Blizzard themselves don't even value it that much. They're willing to sell it to you for free, then obviously it doesn't matter that much. Unpopular opinion, but I think the Maw quests are very finely tuned. They don't feel like junk quests and had some decent story and lore to them. Unlike most quests that feel useless, in comparison, a lot of the quests in the Covenant campaign just feel like fluff. A lot of people, I mean, the Maw, to give it its credit, the Maw did a good job at creating that sense of danger. You were always kind of concerned about being in the Maw. Now the problem is it wasn't rewarded sufficiently enough to counteract that. It was just a little bit too negative, I think. There was too many downsides of being in the Maw and there wasn't enough upsides of being there. Which is a balancing act, right? Oh, we ding, 49. Let's go. But yeah, I agree that the sense of adventure was actually quite good in the Maw. But like I said, the issue being is that you couldn't mount up when everywhere else you could, which was just a massive negative. I mean, if you died, you would lose huge amounts of your progress, which is a system that has never been in World of Warcraft. It's a system that was very common to see in MMOs that predated WoW, that, you know, if you would die, you would lose even a percentage of your XP. You could lose levels by dying, for example. But probably for good reason, that sort of system tends to get phased out of games because it's just a little bit too harsh. Or you can still have it for sure, but it needs to be backed up with some incredibly good reason to be doing it. But yeah, I hope they just learn from their experiences in Shadowlands. That's the main thing. The only reason I can see going through the whole leveling process is to learn how to play your class. I can understand both the pros and cons, but can't definitely decide on the matter. Yeah, this is it. If they have, I mean, they could expand on Exile's Reach, couldn't they? If the very first time you do something, you have to. If Exile's Reach is the first 30 levels, for example. I don't know. I don't know what the exact, you know, how it could, what the exact result is, but for me it was just a waste of time, not only danger. That's why I skipped it for 8 months, I suppose, maybe. Please show me platter sections, target, enemy NPCs, baths and mods. I will make screenshots in the recording. Thank you in advance. I have no idea what you're talking about. Not to mention your screen name is sus as all hell. It's very difficult to keep the people who enjoy the leveling happy and those who want to blast endgame. I like the leveling, less the grindy climbing trees in Corthu, etc. True. You can't have an MMO without some element of grinding, though. That's kind of the issue. Oh, Platter's an add-on, okay. I didn't even know Platter was an add-on, but no, it's LVUI. It's pretty much borderline generic LVUI skin with just a few elements repositioned and resized. My apologies, I wasn't aware that Platter is even an add-on. Personally, I probably wouldn't have played WoW if the leveling experience didn't exist. I was in awe exploring whilst leveling, reaching Goldenshire as a new player, questing in Elwyn Forest, trying to reach Ironforge, trying to get to Wetlands is still very fond memories. Yes, I don't disagree. I would be in the exact same boat. But like I said, 10 years ago, sure, that was a good RPG experience. The experience back then was the leveling. Today, the experience of World of Warcraft is not the leveling. The experience of World of Warcraft is endgame, and it's become more and more the case over the last handful of expansions that they've almost seemingly every expansion they've phased out less and less of the leveling in emphasis of pushing people more and more into the endgame content. I mean, the very simple fact that leveling used to take 72 hours to hit max level, now you can reach max level in like 10 hours. That alone indicates just how trivial the leveling experience is in comparison to what it once was. I mean, like I said, I don't know the solution. I just think that doing this new leveling experience has highlighted a few things to me that is probably a big downside for new players of the game. I know I've got the viewpoints of a seasoned 15-year player of the game, and I can't pretend I don't have those viewpoints, but especially the speed in which people play games now. Like, probably the reason why leveling is so much faster nowadays is because there's not a single game out there that could arguably hold somebody's attention for nearly 100 hours. just for the purpose of leveling anymore. Way too many distractions in people's lives. Zoomers are named Zoomers for a reason, right? Like they're on go mode. Like they're used to playing Fortnite and Call of Duty. Maybe it's not the same target demographic, but you know, they're still gamers at the end of the day. They're still they're still a fraction of the target demographic. Most people that started back in vanilla never even got to 60. Well, that's true. Yeah, that was a big thing. And then I remember from playing back in the day, there was people that... There was one guy that I knew in a guild of mine, like back in late Burning Crusade, I think, who got to about level 30 and just was happy at level 30. There was enough stuff for him to be doing in the game at that level bracket. He was just chilling. He had no incentive or desire to go any further because there was still plenty of zones that he could go and explore. He felt overpowered in some of the zones he went to. He got his ass handed to him in other zones. He could have leveled up further if he wanted to, but he sat at like level 30 back in TBC for months, just because he was kind of chilling being there. There was always people leveling up in the guild, so he could feel like a badass and he could power level the really low players, and you know, he was happy and he had fun. You can't do that now. Like, even with Group Finder, it takes you half an hour to find a dungeon sometimes. And that's all because the average player's mindset of leveling is, let's zerg this as fast as humanly possible, because ultimately it doesn't matter. Oh, I've just remembered, I don't actually need to do anything for this quest. This is one of the most ridiculous quests. You can actually just chill. I bet if I just press F here, if I just chill out and relax here, oh no, because these swirlies will hit me. But you don't actually have to do anything for this quest. I'm guilty of this. My vanilla character was stuck at level 34, browsing scenery in Stranglethorn Valley. Never had max level until BFA. But there we go. Thank you for the calm, pleasant streams, although I hardly understand English. I'm glad you're enjoying them. I hope my English accent isn't too difficult to understand. I'd be interested to see how new players feel about it. Currently I advise new players to go slow and explore. I don't feel they need to rush to max level. My concern is like I said earlier though, that I think people are just too fast now. People play games at... People don't chill out and relax and take games slowly. Certainly not an MMO where the incentive, all the carrots on the end of all of the sticks are incentivizing you to get higher level, get more gear. The game is way faster paced. And the worry, I think, by suggesting people take it slow and steady is the fact that they won't actually even, by taking it slow and steady, they won't even see 10% of the game by doing that. Because 90% of the game is when you hit level 60. And especially currently, I know this is changing relatively soon, but at the moment, I mean, one of the biggest features of Shadowlands, whether you like it or not, is Torghast, of which you physically cannot do until you're max level. I mean, yeah, there's a campaign quest that takes you through there at like level high 50s or something, but the point is that a core feature of this expansion you physically cannot do until you're level 60. Now, whether it's enough of an attraction to, you know, matter is a different question, but still think that by this point in the game, the leveling system, having character levels is almost unnecessary. Probably need to keep leveling disgusting enough to make people like us buy boosts. There's a reason why boosts costs more than the basic expansion. Well, yeah, true. I mean, if I was to put my cynical hat on, you could almost go as far as to say the only reason leveling is still actually a thing is because it incentivizes people to spend more money on the game. That it's just a cash generation system at this point. If money wasn't a factor in the development of this game, do we still think that the leveling would actually be in the game at all? They're kind of probably tried to find that equilibrium between leveling being short enough that people who don't want to buy a boost don't find it so painful to do that they don't do it. They will still do it because you can, if you're fully optimized, level a new character to 60 in less than 24 hours of gameplay. I mean, probably less than... I mean, I'm sure the speedrunners out there are doing it super quick now, but most people aren't speedrunners. They make it just manageable enough for people to do it, but... you know, not, but at the same time, just annoying enough so that some people are willing to then buy the boost instead. It's probably a very happy medium that they're trying to achieve. Whereas if the selling of the boost wasn't a thing, do we think that they would still be actually, you know, do we think that they might have just scrapped leveling completely? Oh, RP section. Cool. I'm listening and they're not saying anything. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Well, I managed to distract myself enough to with some nice leveling discussion to get us through the Moor intro quest for arguably the last ever time, which is good. I thank you lot for that. Affix the Helm of Domination. Da-da-da. Skip cutscenes. Right, hopefully, hang on, who are we talking to? Let's head outside, let's go. Before we disappear to Bastion, which we're about to do, I think I'll take a quick break, go grab a drink. We are less than half a level away from... equipping all of our gear, which will be a very, very much needed by the... That will nearly double our item level once we ding 50 and can equip all of this gear. So how long is the Moor intro? Just one rant about leveling? Yeah, it's the exact length of time it takes for Manthias to rant about leveling. I want to get on my mount and fly. Hang on, I bet I've got talents and I've got all sorts of talents that I've not been using. Oh, I could have had Stomp for hours. Okay, I forgot about that. Although, arguably, it's better to have Barrage, but sure. I like Stomp. It's good for AoE. Good for AoE threat generation. Barrage attracts too much attention. Let's go say hello to Profession Dude. Oh, while we're here, herbalism and mining. Let's pick them up. Herbalism is over. Nope. Nope. Mining is one of these dudes. Blacksmith. Mining trainer. There we go. Yoink. Give me some of that. Where's the herbalism trainer? That must be this one then. Let's grab that. Shadowlands Gathering enchant might be a shout. Let's find myself a Brutosaur. Find me a Bruto. There's got to be one kicking about here somewhere. Maybe not at 6 o'clock in the morning though. I don't think there's that many dedicated auction house goblins at 6 AM in the morning. Want to buy a Bruto because I really don't want to go back to. There's one. Stop. Stop, Mr. Bruto. Where are you going? Oh, please stop. Please stop running for like 5 seconds. Please, I need your auction house. Come back. Get engineering quickly. Oh no, he jumped off his Bruto. To get engineering quickly would mean I have to drop one of my professions quickly. And I don't really want to do that. I'd rather just, if I absolutely have to, I'll go back to Orgrimmar in a minute. If I make this place my home, then it solves a problem, doesn't it? If we go back to Orgrimmar. I missed the Legion barrage, pulling stuff from the other side of the dungeon. Yeah, that was a little bit broken. To the point where if you were to join a dungeon as a hunter in Legion, you'd get inspected. And if you had the barrage talent, you would get kicked. Because nobody was trusted to use it. No hunter was trusted to have barrage. Let's talk to you. There we go. Little fun fact, the direction your character faces when selecting in home is the direction your character teleports when you use the Hearthstone. Really? How did you work that out? Just out of curiosity. There's our long boy again. There's our long boy again. Is he going to chill? Is he going to chill? He's doing all the zooms. I don't think he's going to chill. He's a long boy on a mission. Can I catch him? Is he going to stop at the post box? He's going to stop at the post box, isn't he? No! He logged out. Oh. Can't win. Oh, no. Can't win. Oh, well. Maybe it was not meant to be. I might just have to go back to Orgrimmar real quick. Can't believe I'm on one of the biggest realms, arguably the biggest realm, and the only long boys are doing their morning exercise. Why can't they be lazy long boys standing at the bloody post box? Know your role, long boys. Know your role. Right. I think we're off to Bastion. I think. Are we off to Bastion now? I think we are. After a little bit more RP. God, RP takes way too long. Wouldn't mind if it was voice acted, but I'm literally waiting for dialogue to appear in a chat channel. Who in the stream was it? Good job. Goddamn stream snipers. I know it was one of you. Oh, why is Sir Coffeebot shouting about it twice? Oh, I think that was just very convenient timing. Come on, game! Taking forever. I remember the first time I did this quest, it actually takes so long for these RP elements to do their thing. I thought the quest was just bugged. I think I actually, I abandoned and retook up this quest like 3 times because I just thought it was broken. I mean, technically I'm meant to follow you now, but you're also too slow. Right, whilst this dude is being slow, one last long boy check. One last long boy check. We'll do a quick lap. Everybody chilling on their fancy mounts. Nobody's got the real mount though. Spectral Tiger though, GG. Right. We tried. We tried. It wasn't meant to be. Take the transport pad to the ring of transfer. I just did that. Stupid game. Open the gateway to Bastion. Here we go. Now we're making progress. Now we're off to Bastion. Eventually. Once you hurry up. Quickly now. No wonder leveling takes so long. You get into Shadowlands and you're just waiting around for 20 minutes. God, I could have been in Bastion 3 times by the time. You don't even have legs. You float faster. You've not got gravity to hold you back. There we go. Finally. Took so long, we haven't got time for cutscenes. Send me to Bastion. Let's go. Right, time to fly. Time to take a quick 2-minute break. I'm going to go grab a drink. I'm going to play a couple of ads for a couple of minutes in the downtime. If you wish to, you know, not see the ads, consider hitting that sub button. It supports the channel very nicely. I highly appreciate it. I'll be back in 2 minutes, boys and girls. Alrighty. Let's try this again. Haha, we're in Bastion. Good. Now, how much do we think that we should, do we think that we should actually do too much? In fact, this is a question I don't know the answer to. Do we have to complete the storyline nowadays? How railroaded is the first playthrough? Now, I know I'm not talking about choosing Threads of Fate. I know that's not available to us. But in the early days of Shadowlands, you actually had to complete all of the storyline quest lines from all of the zones before you would unlock a lot of the endgame features. You still do? Oh no. Haha. Okay then, well that probably means that I'm not going to be incentivized to do too much herbalism and mining. Sorry to say that yes you do. Oh dear. Okay, well Bastion's a beautiful place, so let's up our graphics settings a little bit. Might get changed in 915, but so far you do have to. Okay, well let's make sure that we don't go too off topic with herbing and mining then, because if we're gonna have to do the storyline anyway, at least what we can do with Zygor now is specify that it will only do the story quest line. It won't do, because Zygor you've got two options. You can either 100% complete the zone, or you can do just the storylines. So if we focus on doing just the storylines, it should be a smoother process. It should push us forward into the new zones a little bit faster, as long as we don't hit any of the arbitrary walls. There are some level requirements, which I hope that we will meet just by doing the storyline. I hope they've balanced that out properly. I think, for example, you have to be 54 before you move on to Moldraxxus, for example. And if you're not 54, then you just have to go out and do other stuff. There's some weird level restrictions in the storyline, if I remember. Obviously, all of this has been null and void for most people for a while, because once you've done it once, you've done it once, but... Oh, what? Hang on. Huh? Who? What? Oh, I'll pick this thing up. Any tech geniuses out there? Is there a way to format a hard drive in a PC without Windows installed and without removing the hard drive from the computer? Just put my hard drive back into my old rig and reformatted it in the wrong format. You probably... Probably. I'm not sure how though. Anything is possible where technology is concerned. I just don't know how. I'm sure some tech wizard will be able to DM you though. There's usually plenty of them about. What am I? Oh, hang on. Complete Bastion. Use Bastion or Bastion story mode. There's me saying that. We can get rid of Vondoon now. Let's go guide menu, leveling, Shadowlands, Bastion story mode, Bastion story only. Go. Yes, I do want to load it. I know I should be level 50 and I'm not. I think there might be a mistake. I am not dead. I come from Azeroth. Boom. Winning. Ding the dong. Ding the dong. Bing the bong. I'm going to be honest, when it comes to tech issues, while I am more than confident dealing with most tech issues, 99 times out of 100, if you Google it, you'll find an answer pretty quickly. Like, the fact that you're on a communication device and are able to communicate through Twitch leads me to believe that you can also Google something and probably get the answer very quickly. Got Windows installation media on a USB stick, but don't have the OS installed on any. Well, that's fine. You just boot from USB, and it will boot into the installer, and you then install it from the USB. I believe. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. The good thing about the internet is that if you ask a tech question, there's usually 5 people that will be able to give you the answer. Especially on Twitch. Gaming tends to attract relatively tech savvy people, so you should be in luck. But like I said, if in doubt, Google is absolutely your friend. Ooh, can we pick up our first Shadowlands herb? A piece of Death Blossom. It might not be a bad idea, you know, for me to take a little looky at what the value of these herbs are. Ha! 3 gold a piece? Okay. We're not going out of our way to farm up much of that then. This is the funny thing, right? Whilst I imagine I will be able to shift these herbs and ore very, very quickly, the actual average value of the herbs, considering I have to run around on foot to get them, I'm probably still much better going back to another expansion and flying and picking up those herbs. It'll probably be far more efficient, but for the what's going on? For now, I think we will we'll pick up herbs and ore and stuff if we happen to stumble across it. But I don't think we're going to go too far out of our way to pick it up. Although the XP doesn't seem too bad off it, really. 100, at that rate, we're looking at about 150, oh actually that's not great. 150 nodes per level is not incredible. 900 experience per. We need 150,000 experience. So yeah, it's about 150 nodes a level. We'll probably get 1 free level then. Oh, I've just remembered. I should have... I should have picked up the Dark Moon Fair buff, shouldn't I? Yes. Ooh, can we... let's make this place our home. Let's also use that opportunity, as we should be able to get to the Dark Moon Fair real quick. Let's use Zygor to help us out with that one. So let's go Azeroth, Kalimdor. Where's the Dark Moon Fair? Where is it? Who's stolen the Dark Moon Fair? There's a portal to it from Orgrimmar, right? I think there's a portal to it from Orgrimmar. Portal from the other major cities. Mainly in Thunderbluff. Well, it's quicker and easier to get to Orgrimmar, so let's just do that real quick. What's this? Call for the allies. What is that about? Alright, sure, whatever. Fly to Oribos. Right, we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We'll go and get the Dark Moon buff. We'll also then pick up a Shadowlands Gathering enchant. Just so that we have a couple of them. They're probably only 10 gold apiece. Near the flying dude in Orgrimmar. Talk with the Dark Moon Fair Girl. Cool. Cool. I'm still learning the Horde. My alliance for life is is failing me with this Horde situation. Oh, I'm starting to get hungry now. It's going to be time for some food before too long. I mean, I have a bag of cheesy puffs here, cheese and bacon snacks, but I probably shouldn't just eat cheesy puffs. And mouse and keyboard is a terrible combination, unless you like Cheeto dust everywhere. Usually not a good combination. They're up here because I was watching the UFC the other day. Take the portal to Orgrimmar. Is our Hearthstone off cooldown, by the way? Yeah, it is. Good. Woo! That could have been tragic. Are we up to date with, like, I know we can't do any flying and stuff, but are we up to date with all of that? I think we are, aren't we? Have we got the max level flying now? Max speed? I think we bought that a while ago, didn't we? General. Oh, page. Oh, master riding. You can now ride at the highest possible speed. Okay, we are. We're up to date with that. Cool. Coolio. Is there anything we should be doing before we dedicate some time to being in Shadowlands? I don't think we do. We bought ourselves a set of gear. Oh, hang on. Enchant. That's exactly why we were here. I knew there was something. I knew there was something. Let's just search for gathering, I guess, and not in weapons. Oh, there we go. 32 gold apiece. I'll buy 5 of them. Means we can upgrade our gloves if needs be. You should get the Legion Hearthstone to get fast to Orgrimmar. Yeah, sensible. That's not a bad idea. I just have... can I do that by doing nothing more than picking up this? Is that going to be the quickest way for me to get into Legion? What's this call for allies quest about? What's this one for? Don't know. Let's do what I came here to first, though. Let's grab the Dark Moon Fair. Is that this one? Dark Moon Fair Mystic Mage. There we go. Call to allies is to be introduced to the allied races. Ah, okay, that would make sense, yeah. Right, let's go get our 10% buff. Should have done this before we did the more intro quest, but I forgot. Specifically chose to not do this at the end of last stream as well, because, well, I was being silly. Right, give me some tickets. Give me some tickets. Yoink. Alright, give me some buff. Give me some buffage. It's an hour, right? It goes up to 60 minutes. There we go. We'll worry about the Dalaran Hearthstone another day. It's not super important. I got a portal to Orgrimmar straight from Oribos. We're never more than a 30-second flight path from Oribos, so... Right, that was quick and easy. We got our buff. What I should also actually now do is... Let me get rid of that waypoint. Because we did it, even though Zygor thinks we haven't. We actually did. Shift click to remove. There we go. Aha, let's, in fact, no, I'll wait till we ding 50 and then we'll put our Shadowlands enchant on. Your level is too low to use it. Oh, I have to be level 50 to even use it, even if it's not. Oh, it's a straight up level requirement. It's not even an item level requirement. Huh, sure. It's because I'm cheating the system. Shouldn't be here yet, technically. This, I've actually realised, now that we've come here at level 48, we might run into some of those level requirement blocks to go into the new zones, you know. Because by normal standards, I should probably be level 51 at this point. Because you hit 50, the logical thing is you hit 50 and you then go and do the Maw quest, and that gets you to 51. Whereas I'm kind of I'm technically a level early, which might become a problem when we complete the story quest out here and want to move on. But we'll see. Hopefully it won't be too much of a problem. It's already apparent that we are seriously undergeared for this place, though. Gruffhorn is taking a beating. I can keep him alive, but that's with Men Pet on cooldown. Oh, and we really could do with not overpulling. Queue for a dungeon in between? Yeah, might not be the worst idea. Because we're getting slapped about. Ah, there we go. Oops. Well, in exactly 4 bars time, our item level will go from 50 to about 90. So it'll be all good. All good. How we doing, Stro? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Working on our NA, dude. Getting some levels under our belt on the NA. I thought it's about time that we push into Shadowlands, so... although we are horrendously undergeared for this at the moment. It's causing me some problems. We'll take mobs one at a time for the moment. At least until we ding. We can put on our better gear. Probably all the more reason, you know, for not actually running around herbing and mining, because then we'll just be at an even worse situation. We'll pick up stuff if we fall on it, though. $1.1 mil overnight sales, usually always hovering around a mil. That's crazy. Your overnight sales are just bonkers right now. I genuinely haven't even checked my auction characters today. Really bad, but... Trick is to have a second TSM profile that posts all my auctions when I go to sleep, because I notice the sales are usually always the same items that get sold. Smart move. Yeah, it's a similar concept to the fact that if I go away for the weekend, which during the summer is more frequent, because we go to our summer place at the weekend. But I, for example, then have all my auctions listed for 48 hours instead of 12 hours like I usually do. Not that it makes a huge difference, because if you get undercut by one other person at 48 hours, then it negates the whole thing. But if you're posting 500 auctions, something usually happens. And from a Goblin perspective at the moment, I think so many people have quit the game, and with the price of Korthite crashing into the ground, it's way less of an incentive. I mean, I'm a perfect example of it, right? It's way less of an incentive for people to be sat posting and playing the auction house at the moment. If they made a whole stack of cash in 9.0 and then made a whole stack of cash in 9.0.5 and then made a whole stack of cash in 9.1, compounded with the, 50% of the player base quitting in the first place, there's probably not all that many people dedicating time to the auction house at the moment. Meaning that those that do probably are still seeing some very, very good results. Going back into the office now, part-time until I move, so I'll be a bit less active here. Hey, as long as you get the opportunity to pop in and say hi. Don't be a stranger. Ooh! New gear. Yes, please. Are we going to ding yet? No, couple more quests. Couple more quests. It's also best to just have all of your items posted. Say, for example, if you restock 10 rings, just post them all when you go to sleep instead of the usual one. So if you do end up being the cheapest, you'll sell more than one. Yeah. So to a degree it depends on the realm though. Sometimes I kind of don't feel too bad about letting my auctions expire and going a period of time where I don't have any presence on the auction house, because it allows for natural resets to happen. This is also the reason I've steered away from posting things for 48 hours. I would rather post things more frequently and have them drop off the auction house. Now, of course, like I said earlier, it still doesn't matter if everybody else is still posting for 48 hours, but it does increase the chances, especially if you're one of only like 2 or 3 people that post that item. It does increase the chances of a natural reset happening without anybody having to, aggressively make it happen, which can be good sometimes. One of the big problems with legendaries in the early days was that people would craft 15 and post 15, giving no opportunity for a reset to ever happen on the price, because you just basically walled off. You'd walled it off at a certain price. But no, you're right that if before you're going to be away from the auction house for any given period of time, you just dump your stock on there, you probably do have a much better chance of actually selling at least something, as long as your deposit fees don't get out of hand. I need to keep Gruffhorn alive. I need to forget that I'm not geared to the teeth right now. Gruffhorn, don't be dying on me. Stay alive, Mr. Goat. Tend not to engage with resets in the Lego market anymore. Earlier in the year, about 10 of the goblins on my main realms decided to work together to keep the prices high. It ended up backfiring in a few months because it just brought in so many more sellers compared to other servers. Yeah, there's a happy medium that needs to be obtained. If something like that happens, you kind of need to agree on not just keeping the price high, but if anything, you actually want to agree on keeping the price relatively low, but not going below a certain period, certain value, should we say? Because yeah, you're right. If there's a phrase that's commonly used in business, and that is a business most at risk is a profitable one, because if you're doing something and you're doing something profitably, there's room for somebody else to come in and do it for less than what you're doing. And there's almost always somebody that's willing to do something for less of a payoff than you are. So, yeah, keeping prices high for a long period of time tends to not work. It can be a good short-term thing. And when it's when it's the right season to do it, for example, like early days of Legendaries was a perfect example of when you probably should be doing it, because you know you were just printing money, quite literally. It became like you would want to sell your stuff as fast as you could so that you could get the gold back to reinvest it, because every 10 gold you sold, you made 10 more gold. So in the early days of Legendaries, it was actually more about, well, how quickly can I re-spend this gold? Because the quicker I can spend it, the quicker I can turn it into more. Not so much the case anymore, unfortunately, but it was good fun while it lasted. I wonder if we'll ever see anything as ridiculously broken as Legendaries again. For crafters, for goal makers. There'll always be something for goal makers, and it's why it's good to hone your skills in different areas of goal making. For example, 8.3 turned up, BFA 8.3 turned up, and there was people that made tens, if not hundreds of millions, very late in the expansion off the just ridiculous levels of RNG around corrupted gear. That was like an early Christmas for a lot of people. Shadowlands has obviously been all about Legendaries at the top end. But I've said this for a long time. I think in hindsight, Blizzard will look at the Legendary crafting system and realise they made a monumental mistake. All it is done is it's made rich goblins bonkers rich. And it's actually, I would go as far as to say it's made I don't want to use the word poor goblins, but the less wealthy goblins even less wealthy than they were before. They put way more of an emphasis on the average player base to have to spend large quantities of gold on upgrading gear. But why do we think that Blizzard cares that rich goblins got even richer? Because they artificially create inflation, which is something that Blizzard tries to keep, you know, They tried to keep it under wraps a little bit. If any single person has exponentially more buying power and can stronghold a market, like what was seen with Korthite crystals, for example. Korthite crystals is a good example of this. The Korthite crystals stayed at a relatively high price, presumably in reason because many goblins out there were more than happy to continuously buy them at outrageous prices to keep the price high because they were profiting off the back of it. But the second that the bubble burst, look how it crashed. So it's an indication that the value of those Korthite crystals wasn't actually that high, but it was artificially being kept high to the point where Blizzard had to actively change it so that the actual catch-up system of legendaries became a thing, like it was intended to. It causes problems if too many players have too much gold. Because it means that those super mega rich goblins are more than happy to pay higher price. They'll pay a higher price on average to have something. And they'll do it because they can. Oh, there's definitely been worse problems. I mean, there's always been worse. Oh, wow, we literally stood at the end of the cliff and dinged 50. How about that? Now Zygor's going to tell me to equip all of this gear. Watch our item level go up now. Leaps and bounds. How about this for a power spike? Are we done yet? Boom! Out of nowhere. Item level 83. Let's throw on our Shadowlands Gathering to our gloves. Oh, actually, why have we got doo-doo gloves still? Where's our... Why have we only got level 50 gloves? Did I not buy a pair of gloves? Oh. Oh well, maybe I didn't buy a complete set. Alright, it's not really that much of a biggie. I'm not going to bother fixing it. I didn't buy gems or anything. I'm not going to bother fixing it. It's all good. But yeah, regarding the legendary crafting system, I'm of the belief that we'll probably never see anything quite as ridiculous. If we had, because the ceiling for opportunity with legendaries was just bananas, right? It was almost unlimited. In the past, the way that Blizzard have sort of kept things in check previously, even if crafters have been able to craft arguably very powerful gear, is often because there'll be, as much as we hate them, there's often been like a bind on pickup material. That's Blizzard's way of, you know, keeping it in check a little bit, not allowing it to just, you know, ramp up and scale up to ridiculous points. Having almost no restriction on the legendary crafting, other than your ability to spend gold on buying materials, is what's allowed it to just get ridiculous. Now, I'm not complaining. It's made me a relatively wealthy goblin in this game over the last few months. But at the same time, I'm also very aware that it's not really good for the game. For the overall health of the game, it's not great. In an economy that doesn't really have any rules in the first place, there's no rules against monopolization or anything like that, You have to, you know, you have to try and make it so that things don't get out of hand from a mechanical point of view. Hence why, you know, soulbound materials are a thing. Not that we like them, because the reason crafters don't like soulbound materials is because it's a natural limitation to how much gold we can make. Like there's usually nothing when you dig down to the main reason why people don't like them. It's usually for that one reason, that, well, they would like to craft more and like to sell more of these things, but they can't because the materials are soulbound. Heard of Dialogue Key SL add-on? You don't have to continuously click buttons like OK pop-ups or quest accepting options, etc. Single-handedly the best quality of life add-on I have, and very small at that. That's quite cool. Oh, hang on. It's too hot that way. Bring it back this way. No? What the fuck is going on here? I took 5 seconds to read the chat and managed to break the quest. I'm adding more fuel, you stupid game. %. Let's keep going. Click those buttons by pressing the space bar. But then, what's your jump button? Do you also just jump at the same time? Holding steady now. Do not move. This is a delicate operation. I have no idea what the delicate operation is. What am I doing? I'm holding some armor. Okay. I only bind spacebar when a dialogue option is open. Oh, that's clever. Oh, we instantly replaced our desolate scale vest. Wow. What do you know? That didn't last very long, did it? Beasts of Bastion is up. Is doing rares at this point worth? I don't know. We'll ignore it. Defeat some dude. Alright, sure. Oh, I remember these quests. I remember. We need to pew this dude. We could also do with killing some of these fellas at the same time. Challenge you both to a spar. Challenge you two to a spar at the same time. Let's hope 4 is not too many. Nah, we should be good. Gruff's got this. He's got this. He's in his shell right now. He's not confident he's got this. But he's got this. Now, I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself just a touch on this, but we should probably start thinking about what our second character is going to be on NA. Because we're going to need 2 characters. We're going to need at least 2 characters. Simply because I need to keep my eyes on what will eventually be the end game, which without question is Legendary. For as long as Legendaries is going to be profitable, Legendaries will be the end game. Which to fully get on board with Legendaries, you obviously need 2 characters so that you can have leatherworking, tailoring, blacksmithing, and jewel crafting. The question becomes, what will our second character be? Now, it doesn't really matter ultimately. I was thinking maybe a paladin. I like my paladin. I like running around throwing Avengers shields like a crazy person. But I was also maybe thinking that we could pick up a class we don't really play so much. Give me more of an incentive to come out and actually play the characters properly. Create a bunch of druids now, gather rested experience, then level them up with gathering. There will come a point where, I mean, 2 characters is probably the limit for a while. Anything past 2 characters on a realm, I just buy them with boosts. Since our discussion on leveling earlier, my viewpoint on leveling is such that if I can skip it, I will skip it. And once we get rolling with legendaries, we'll be able to afford such things. Especially since the token price is dirt cheap over here. In comparison, I should say. Shaman, question mark? I've not played Shaman for a while, you know. I played Resto Shaman quite a lot at the beginning of BFA. But that was the last time I played a Shaman. Why is the token price lower on the US anyway? I mean, the easy answer is it's based on supply and demand. There's a little bit more to it than that, but in simple terms, it's did you choose NA as location? I think so, yeah. If you chose Finland, you can't get BattleNet balance on your NA accounts. Yeah, I think I might have lied. I can't remember. The TLDR on why the token price is less in the NA. It's mainly on the basis of that more people are generally willing to buy tokens over on the NA, which does nothing more than push the token price less. Because it's supply and demand. The more people buy tokens, and by buy tokens I mean actually take their credit card out their pocket and buy a token. I don't mean buy tokens with gold, I mean buy tokens with real money. And there's a greater percentage of the player base on the EU that want to be able to play the game for free. And so will buy tokens with gold to get their game time. You can buy a token on your NA account, but you can only use it for game time if you have your country of residence as your normal residence and not NA. You won't be able to buy anything from the BattleNet store. I have no idea. I can't. Honestly, I can't remember. But I deliberately made this I seem to remember making this BattleNet account with the simple design of it for Blizzard to consider it an NA account. I can't quite remember, if I'm honest. Yes, hello, I am Mr. American Man. I might get into a bit of a sticky situation if I have to, at any point, you know, prove residence or something in a... I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll work it out. I mean, if I can't utilize the gold that we create on the NA to do stuff like buy boosts, or to do much with the Battle.net side of things, it's relatively safe to say that the series probably won't last all that long. I'll make a bunch of gold to be able to buy a bunch of things, but if I then don't have really much point to be making that gold, then I probably just won't. I will utilize the account for experimentation. Maybe if it comes to it, I'll use the gold to try and facilitate giveaways or something. I don't know. All I do know is that yes, Blizzard have some have some weird restrictions on what you can do. What's the big number 50 tracking? My level. It's tracking my level. I gotta be careful zerging all of this. It's not Blizzard, it's international money laundering restrictions. I mean, whatever. Either way, whose ever design it was. Whose ever fault it is. Not bothered. We'll figure something out. I'd get it if you could turn Blizzard balance back into cash, but you can't, so I don't see why it matters too much. The second you give money to Blizzard, it doesn't come out again. Not legitimately, anyway. Just wait till Amazon buys Blizzard so we can use WoW tokens to buy real stuff. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Hickons would buy a Lamborghini. Buy a Lamborghini off Amazon with WoW tokens. Be double the incentive to make the millions of gold. You could in theory turn it into a legitimate job at that point, I imagine. Any idea on who is the richest WoW player? Well, I mean, nobody really keeps track, but it's Twitch Prime for gold. It's it's common belief that Magicus is one of, if not the richest player in WoW, but I'm not entirely sure if that's just a title that he assigns himself. But it's also true to say, I mean, he's got stinky amounts of gold. But I mean, currently, for example, Hickons is rolling around in about 600 million liquid. And he obviously, you know, is relatively public about that. But he would also be one of the first to admit he doesn't particularly do anything overly special to do that. Not to mention he's only been, you know, heavily active in goal making in the scale of things relatively recently. Dirty Irby again he's like 130 million gold or something like that. There was a guy on our Discord yesterday posting that he just hit 200 million. I think there we go. PKB will reach 400 million. There's plenty of people out there that are in the hundreds of millions now, and much past that point, it starts to become like a bit all the same. I mean, of course, those are just the people that are somewhat public about it as well. I would imagine there's people that make a stinky amount of gold that don't really engage in like the gold making community, and maybe, you know, are not even remotely public about how much gold they have because they don't need to. Oh, hang on, we've not put resonating arrow on our bars. The leaders of the boosting communities probably have a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a pyramid scheme, that whole thing anyway, isn't it? So it's every time a boost happens, there's probably a handful of people that have their fingers in the pie almost every time. From either like an organizational standpoint, or, you know, they run the community so they take a 10% cut or something. I don't know. It's all yeah, I'm sure there's people that have more gold than characters to store the gold on. It's probably not that uncommon. Satisfaction now is just seeing the graph keep going up. Yeah, I imagine that becomes a thing, right? I mean, it's literally too much to be able to spend, even if you wanted to. And you could buy a Spectral Tiger 10 times over. It's like, at that point, what does it matter? The WoW boosting mafia. I've had my reserves about the boosting community generally. I like to clarify that my gripe is not with the people that tend to do the boosting. Like the guilds that, you know, boost people, the players that boost people in arenas. My issue is not so much with those, it's more with, to use a phrase, the kingpins at the top that are taking a cut of everything. And it's very questionable where their morals lie on that. I can't see, like, for me it's just common sense. I can't see any reason why somebody would put that much time, effort and resources into developing a system without there being some financial gain off the back of it. Take that how you wish. And at the same time, I can fully understand the same can be said for content creators like myself. Like, why are we making so much gold? Why are we stockpiling so much gold? But our emphasis is actually generally to make it easier for other players to also do the same and provide, you know, a level of entertainment at the same time. Zanzafall, for example, is a prime example of that. Like, if he didn't gold make, if he wasn't streaming his gold making, he probably wouldn't be streaming. And there's plenty enough people that watch his stream on a regular basis for him to continue to do it. But these somewhat invisible people at the top of these boosting communities, maybe they run the Discord, sure, but where's their incentive? Where's their incentive to spend 40, 60 hours a week doing it? if there isn't a financial one. I mean, everybody's got hobbies, right? Sure, I get it, but, you know, given the opportunity for your hobby to make you money, why would you not do it? Of course, they sell it for real money, no doubt, at least some of them. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't believe the people at the people doing the grunt work are the ones that end up selling their gold. I don't think they make enough of it to be in that position anyway. By the time, like, if a guild sells a boost and they're boosting, I don't know, 5 people through a dungeon, or sorry, if they're boosting 5 people through a raid or something, by the time the gold has been split between the members actually doing the boost, the dude that was spamming in trade chat probably takes his 10-20% cut, and there'll be some dude at the top that organises and orchestrates the whole thing that will be also taking a cut. There's probably not a huge amount that's left over. Each individual boost is probably not, you know, getting mega rich off it. Blizzard have already legalized it. They'd just rather take a cut through the token. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the sole reason the token exists, right? The entire reason the token exists is because Blizzard fully understood, correctly so, that there was no way they were ever going to be able to fully combat real money transactions or gold selling specifically. So the easiest solution for them to do it was to make it legitimate. Was to legitimize it and make it 100% safe for players to do that, but they take a cut. So hence the token turns up. Like there's the age-old phrase: if you can't beat them, join them. And so Blizzard joined them. They took 90% of the market share of gold sellers away overnight by launching the token, and in turn profited from it themselves. It doesn't take a genius to work that one out. Oh, did we got to kill this dude? I think we do. Surely we got to kill this dude. I can't remember. Profited. Yeah, some words are difficult, yo. Give me a break. And it would also be foolish to believe that, you know, Blizzard were the first company that had this problem. I mean, MMOs have existed for a lot longer than Blizzard have been making World of Warcraft. And every single MMO that's ever existed had this wall to overcome, which is the real money transaction side of stuff. Some games lean into it, some games lean against it. But whichever approach that is taken, like, ultimately the developers of that game want to take their cut from it. Where there's an advantage to be had over somebody else, there will be somebody that will be willing to pay for that advantage, even in a video game. Game I used to play literally sells characters now. Yeah, like I said, eventually a lot of the game developers will lean into it because they might as well take a cut from it. If you can't, you'll never eradicate it from your game completely, because like I said, where there's an advantage to be had, that advantage will be bought. So it makes more sense for the game developers to lean into it and to take a cut of those profits to ultimately fund a better game for everybody else, as kind of black market as it sounds. But it's better for Blizzard to, you know, make more money by selling tokens, so people who want to buy gold can legitimately buy gold. But Blizzard have control over it, and the extra revenue that's generated, you'd hope not all of it ends up as fuel in Bobby Kotick's 7th yacht. You'd hope that, you know, the majority of it would go back into development of the game, but either way, however that extra revenue is spent, it's without question Blizzard's prerogative to be taking a slice of that revenue. Well, Eve has what do you call it? Like the main currency I think is ISK, and then there's Plex, which I think is the equivalent of the token in Eve. They weren't the first to do it, but they were certainly one of the first to like fully embrace it. And it's a very smart thing to do.
You just lost $5.
Oh!
Zarjon.
Zarjon with the 3-month streak on the tier 1. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying. I apologise we're not doing much of the goal making per se at the moment, but I hope you're enjoying the discussion. I mean, to give Blizzard some credit, compared to a lot of other games out there, the monetization is handled quite well. You're better than most podcasts. Thank you. I mean, and I know it's a bit of a touchy subject. I know we have the store mounts, and I know the Blizzard store, and I know you can buy boosts and stuff. But the potential monetization options that could be a thing in this game but aren't are ridiculous. Like, you only need to download and play one single mobile game for you to realise just how offensive when it comes to monetization most games are nowadays. Like, in regards to, like, I'm sure they're working on it, but in terms of, like, you know, what if, you know, there was a 5-minute respawn time on every time you died in the game, or you could spend 99 cents to, you know, to revive instantly. Just something, like, outrageously gross that to most of us just sounds outrageous, but it is so commonplace in many games nowadays. There are hundreds of ways they could, like, sneak in microtransactions to this game, but they don't. So it's like I said, it's a hard credit to give. It's like saying congratulations for not being an asshole. But the point is when everybody else in the industry is being an asshole, you have to give some credit to the companies that aren't directly being that. I mean, the common argument in World of Warcraft is the fact that they triple dip to begin with. They sell you a box, they sell you a monthly subscription, and they still have the store. So they're triple dipping to begin with, but, like, it could be far worse. You could wipe on this boss for months or just pay $50 and get your curve achievement and loot. Well, the problem is it's kind of getting that way considering the boosting community is so sophisticated now compared to what it used to be. I mean, that literally is the case right now. Although the only difference is that you know, it's either a group of people or a guild or a select few individuals that are handling that boost rather than Blizzard doing it themselves. But where Blizzard's finger is in the pie is the fact that the player that chooses to buy that boost is presumably buying it with gold, which presumably they have the ability to just, you know, should they happen to not have enough gold, that they can always just buy a token for 20 euros and, you know, all of a sudden they have the gold that they need, coincidentally. Another reason why Blizzard will, you know, never fully ban boosting, because it's profitable for them. They don't have to actually, you know, they're not offering the service, but they're still taking their cut. Want to do a dungeon? That'll be a token. Sell something on the auction house? That'll be a token. Yeah, I mean, it can get ridiculous. Ideally, you pay for a sub and no store, but personally, if there is a store of any kind, even if it is cosmetic, I'd much rather have the token type system. From different perspectives, it's pay to win, and it's truly free to play as well. Yeah, the issue, like, I see this so frequently. There's always, like, whenever you see somebody on a Reddit thread will say that Warcraft is pay to win, and instead of actually constructively debating how World of Warcraft either is or isn't pay to win, the conversation always switches to what is the actual definition of pay to win, almost instantly. And so hence it just turns into a clusterfuck of chaos, where people completely forget, like, it's like people completely forget what they're arguing over, whereas the actual discussion was about, well, is this game pay to win? Oh, well, if you buy something for real money, then it's pay to win, and then you'll have somebody else saying, no, the definition of pay to win is this, and it's just a back and forth about what the definition of pay to win is. It's just dumb. But welcome to the internet, you know. Vesper of Virtues? What the hell is that? I think we're within 6 months, I imagine, we'll be introduced to whatever it is that Blizzard are working on, mobile game wise. As we're already aware that they're working on at least, unfortunately, at least 2 different World of Warcraft themed mobile applications, games, whatever you want to call them. I've already put my money on there being a like a Raid Shadowlands competitor, but World of Warcraft themed, because the mission table as it stands right now is pretty much that, and feels as if it was kind of, you know, Blizzard's first attempt to see how their player base reacts to games of that nature, and maybe that's all. Like, once again, let's put the speculation hat on. Once again, you could maybe argue that the profitability of the mission table is deliberate, right? Blizzard know that the mission table is a bit of a cash cow because they want to get people used to that type of game before they release it in true mobile form, with every single mobile monetization, microtransaction, money grabbing system that they can possibly implement to it. It's conditioning the player base to that style of game by the mission table, so that when they release it as a mobile game, it's not a but you do have phones, right, kind of shit show like Diablo Immortal is, which hopefully we'll also see Diablo Immortal and it'll be pretty good. But I think there's a I'm almost certain one of the games that we'll see will be, in essence, a reskin of the mission table, just fleshed out to be its own fully fledged mobile game. With more level, like more character progression of the followers, instead of the followers just being a follower that gains experience. The followers will probably have, you know, their armor sets. You'll have energy bars. You'll have, like, they'll reset. Anybody that's played a mobile game of that nature will be aware of what might be the case. Oh damn! I've just realised this is the big dude. I shouldn't have attacked him. Pet battle mobile game, I'd get on board with that. I'd like to see that. I'd have no issues with that, I don't think. I would hope that if they are releasing mobile games, as long as they're not totally gross, I would like to see them actually, you know, integrated into the main game as well in some way. But can you imagine, right? Imagine the shit show that would be if there was some in-game power progression to be had by playing a mobile game. The world would explode. Like, can you imagine, like Limit and Echo all sat there on their mobile phones grinding gear in between pools? It would get ridiculous. But once again, the gaming industry, I wouldn't put it past them. We'd need Rematch and TD Pet Battle Script on the phone. The other downsides of mobile games is they are 10 times easier to, like, just hack and bot and break, and way more open for abuse. There's barely a mobile game out there that doesn't have like a ROM or an emulator or some cheat system available for it after doing a quick Google search. I think they already have a fix for that. You can't log into the app if you're logged into the game on the PC. Oh, yeah, true. I mean, that's the case now. But guess what happens if they want you to do both? Aha. That's if they decide that they want you to be playing both, then we have a problem on our hands. Then we have a problem on our hands. I don't know. It's all a lot of speculation, but I've watched the gaming industry develop over many years, and in a weird way, Blizzard are actually one of the slowest to react to what would be considered industry norms. So I would not be too surprised, especially with the recent shake-up with the staff situation at Blizzard. I would not be too surprised if in the next couple of years we see a very different Blizzard to what we've seen previously. So far, which has so far been good for us. Well, yeah, this is the thing, that most of the gaming industry has got pretty gross. There's not a lot of positives that you can say about the gaming industry generally. I mean, its greed and desire for, you know, monetizing games is outrageous. And, you know, we even things like going through the era of live services. Why does every single Far Cry game that gets released have to be a live service and require a subscription? And, you know, why does there have to be sub-currencies in every game? And why does there have to be loot boxes in every game? None of this is necessary, and none of this adds to the player experience. All it does is help to pad the profitability of said game until next year they release a clone of the same game with a slightly different storyline and call it new. For the most part, yeah, we like Blizzard have been slow to react to the way that the rest of the industry plays out, which is a good thing for us, because the way the industry has been going in recent years is not necessarily in a very player-friendly direction. I mean, gone are the days where, you know, you buy a game, you play the game, and then, you know, that's it. Like within seconds of buying a game, you're being offered, you know, like a gold issue of the game, a premium upgrade, and then within minutes you're conditioned on how to spend your microtransaction currency in the game. And oh, now you've spent it all. Well, here's a introductory offer because you're a new player to buy some more of it for a discounted price of only €99. It's horrible. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make you want to play new games anymore. And luckily, a lot of that gross attitude that you see from other gaming companies hasn't been in a Blizzard Entertainment game. I mean, I still, to this day, I get the itch every once in a while to play Diablo 3. And Diablo 3 is one of the very last games on the market that is consistently developed for. The game is about 1 million years old at this point, and there are people that have been playing Diablo 3 for... When did Diablo 3 come out? Like 9 years ago or something ridiculous at this point? There are people that have been playing that game consistently for 9 years off the box cost of... What was it, like $40 back then? Okay, they released Reaper of Souls, the expansion, and there was a Necrolord bonus or something at some point, but there's no microtransactions in the game. Yet they continue to update it. There's new seasons and development time and cost goes into the game. If you imagine if Ubisoft had their hands on the Diablo franchise, every year it would be like, you know, buy the game again. Sorry, gumdrops. For now, I can at least say that what we're releasing this Friday, all our rewards are cosmetic that can be bought with coins that are only earnable in the game, and there's no plans to sell coins. Advantage of indie companies. Yeah, I would agree. Indie companies have the ability to do that sort of stuff because they're working with considerably less costs. And the box cost of the game, in most cases, does actually, you know, turn a profit for the company. I'm meant to be picking up these Dark Sermons, but I don't want to pick that one up because I'm going to have to kill a elite character. To be fair, I don't see any difference from WoW to any other microtransaction game. The only difference is the gold acquisition without real money is not extremely tedious compared to those microtransaction games that will do everything they can to make you get less of the free currency. There's a fine line. There's a fine line for sure. And I understand how, like, some people's tolerancy for it is higher than others. I genuinely consider myself to have quite a low tolerancy to the microtransaction stuff. But I guess both my sales and marketing background tends to at least give me an understanding to why these companies are doing it, not just from the foundational level of, well, they're just out to make money. I kind of understand the ins and outs of the business structure a little bit more so. Yeah, it's often a fine line that these companies tread. Now, they'll inevitably piss off some people, and some people won't care either way. How much gold does the average player in WoW even have these days? I don't think anybody really keeps track of it. There's not many people that would know the answer to that. Weirdly, if there was anybody out there that would have a reasonable idea of that, it would probably... I mean, I'm sure Trade School Master could actually put a relatively accurate number to that. Because, of course, they track anybody that uses TSM. Every single transaction is being tracked. Now, obviously, that doesn't take into account that, like, if you go and do some callings and generate gold that way, that your Trade School Master data would be highly skewed. I mean, they would have data though. Even if it's skewed data, it's still true to say that they have data, more so than what most people do. Some data, even if it's skewed data, is better than no data at all. They have 1% of the player base. That 1% cares enough to install a gold-focused add-on. I think their 30 million downloads says differently though. Are you also aware that the majority of people that use Trade School Master don't use the desktop application? Like the desktop, like there's more people that use Trade School Master without the desktop application than ones that use it with. That just shows the reach of the add-on. Now, obviously, they use the desktop application to do all their tracking, but there's a considerably high percentage of the player base that actually use Trade School Master. It's one of the top most downloaded add-ons in the game. It's not floating down the 80s, 90s, 100s ranks. It's in the top 10, if not higher than that, in terms of downloads. But either way, there's not many people out there that can really put an accurate figure or have any data to back this up, I don't think. I don't think companies like Raider.io would track anything regarding gold. So ultimately, we don't know. But what we can say is that we can make some assumptions based on the token that there is logic to say that the average player probably has less than a token's worth of gold. Because that will obviously, if you have considerably less gold than what the token is valued at, you're considerably more incentivized to buy a token. If you have way more gold than what the token is willing to offer you for the 20 euros, your desire to purchase said token drops like a rock. So there'll be an equilibrium point somewhere close to the token price. Now, that's not to say that the token price heavily influences that, but it's a data point that we can call upon when trying to make a somewhat educated guess. I usually use the token price as a gauge to what I think the average player might have. And I don't think there's many players out there that have much more than a single token's worth of gold. And it's by design, right? Because, you know, a token has a real-world currency value attached to it, which intrinsically gives gold a real-world advantage, even though you can't cash it out fully. So it's, yeah. This is why the token is also very good for the economy. Oh, hang on, am I meant to pew these guys? I don't think I am. Hang on, something's going wrong here. These aren't meant to be here. These are meant to phase away, I'm sure. Come on, Gruffhorn. You go. Oh no, I came out. Whatever. Let's just keep going. No pew-pewing, but they are meant to be there. Fair enough. I'll just run away. If in doubt, run away. 9 seconds. Please can I outrange these dudes, please? 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Right, now go away. There we go. Whew. No, I'm not ready. I need to revive my pet. Why did I say I'm ready? The high we can still see for a version that was the latest for a month is 155k. That means there can be at most 155,000 users of TSM. Yeah, but that's only assuming that people update their add-ons. I don't think that's true to be the case at all. Yeah, 155,000 people have updated their add-ons recently enough to, based on my experience, after a month, everybody is updated. I'd be surprised. I mean, I'm sure a good percentage do, but there's also a greater percentage I would expect that don't. Either way, I mean, that's still a truckload of players that are using it. I'm meant to be pressing a button during this, aren't I? I forgot this is not just a flying quest. I'm getting distracted by squirrels again. Hurl the hammer. Go. There's 1 of 3. We're about to ding 51. We're almost at the point that we should have been when we finished the more intro quest. We are almost there. Out of range still? There we go. Two of 3. It's a lot of players, but if it's the 1 to 2% that are at least somewhat interested in goal making, therefore I think the results would be so skewed that I think it'd be a bad idea to guess based on those numbers. But you can still make a more educated guess based on the data that you have, even if you know the data is probably skewed higher because they're more interested in goal making. You could still, by that, with that in mind, you could still say that, well, the average player almost certainly then has less than what TSM would present. Like, some data is better than no data at all. Isn't this almost the end of the campaign? No, surely not. We're only halfway through. Well, we're ding 51 either way. TSM 4 made number 3 obsolete, and then people were forced to upgrade. I'm seeing any one TSM version have a maximum of 200,000 downloads. That is interesting. Speaking of add-ons, what's the gear upgrade added to you that popped up when new gear was looted and upgradable? It's Zygor that's doing that for me. Oh no, where's my pet? There are a few add-ons, if you're just specifically looking for gear upgrading, there's a few add-ons that do that, but it's all part of the Zygor suite. Where's my goddamn goat? Where's my goddamn goat? He's dead. That's why I can't see him. Stupid goat. Stay within stomp range. Oh, by gear you mean the add-on for legendary restocking? Yeah, of course. I'm glad you did. Well, luckily I don't have an Amazon Alexa device, so you can't fool me. But TTS donations are on, so I know that gets abused by people. Not trying to bait too many, you know, cheeky donations or anything, but. Also a good reason why a streamer should always use headphones. Hey Siri, call 911. No, that's very naughty. Should never be done. Was I meant to? I think I was. No, what was I meant to do back then? I don't know. I think there was some part of the bonus objective I was meant to complete back there that I just didn't. Whatever. Alrighty. Right then. I think, though, boys and girls, I'm going to leave it there for today. We finally got ourselves into Shadowlands. We got the more intro quests done for arguably the last ever time, because at this point going forward, once 9.1.5 lands, we will just skip it, because we've now done it at least once on all of our accounts. Hurrah. We're into Shadowlands. We are level 51. We've bought ourselves some simple gear to give us a bit of a head start, of which some of it we're already slowly replacing, but it means we don't feel too squishy. We had a couple of good discussions today, actually. Some topics of conversation were flowing. Do you still need to do it for your enchanter to 50? Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see if we go that far. We'll see if I actually... yeah, our bank character, theoretically, we're going to need a bank character for this realm, of which would make sense to be a level 50 enchanter. So possibly, we'll see. I don't think that we'll be aggressively crafting legendaries very quickly, because you know we need to you know get the wheels turning, the wheels rolling on the gold making before we try and invest too heavily in legendaries. But we'll see. The whole point of playing over on the NA is to test things and see how it works out. Who knows? Rank 1s might be incredibly popular over here and highly profitable, and maybe we can get going a lot quicker. We'll have to find out. But I'll leave it there for today. Tomorrow, of course, though, is Wednesday. Wednesday being reset day for us who play primarily over on the EU. Meaning that we'll probably end up doing a handful of Auction House PvP. Wednesday is the day that if we're going to spend any day of the week actively goal making, it should be Wednesday. So we'll probably be playing around, doing a little bit of restocking, maybe doing some Auction House PvP, making some gold, all of that good stuff. So if you enjoyed today, please remember to hit that follow button. We stream Monday through till Friday, same time every day, like clockwork. A small white lie there, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. And of course, check out the YouTube channel. I post content 2, 3, 4 times a week on the YouTube channel, mostly focused around gold making and the economy in World of Warcraft. For those occasions when you can't catch live, I also upload these VODs to the second YouTube channel, Mantheus TV, which can be found linked on the first YouTube channel. I should really fix that. That's a terrible segue to promote the second channel, isn't it? But oh well, what are you going to do? Either way, boys and girls, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy goal making, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.